synergy of the energy.
They only caught the end of that.
Yeah,
so.
I was gonna say you missed all of it.
They missed the whole
What
build
you
up to that.
resist will persist. What you look at will disappear. Right? The art of looking, though, creates something. If you're not looking, is something there.
Audio's working.
Audio's working, so we can't see audio, but we can use audio to move stones. We just haven't figured out how to do it yet.
I was watching something earlier that alien abductions happen via audio. Did you know this?
No.
That the aliens actually lift people via sound waves.
And that makes sense, right? That's how they lift the stones, the sonic waves. You know that.
I can buy it.
What's up, Bill Boatkin?
Bill, what's up? Yeah, we do have, we're coming in hot. We got dual guests. We got Jesse coming back. Jesse the musician.
Jesse
back
the
in
musician's
house.
here.
I'm back.
And then we got the Amandalorian, Amanda Rivas from the Social Distance Podcast. It's Star Wars Day. It's not May the 4th be with you. It's not Revenge of the 5th. It's Mando Day.
I like it.
I was thinking, it's changed everything. People think Star Wars, they always say May the Force be with you. We're coming up on a generation that's saying this is the way. And it's just like, I think there's going to be a battle here of like, May the Force be with you, or this is the way.
Yeah, it's like some generation.
Yeah,
one generation's all
cool.
about the clones.
But yeah, Amanda, she's awesome. She's very cool. Her podcast is good. Her cosplay is off the chain.
Excellent.
Yeah, and we've seen her in the ring too. So she lives in our world, right? Wrestling, Star Wars, Marvel.
She's one of us.
Yeah,
The Carney world.
One of
The
us.
rest of us.
One of us.
I'm excited.
So yeah, it was a good day. I might have been the only, I know there's a few that stayed up late, early, however you want to call it, some people set their alarms for that 2 a.m. drop. Fingers crossed that Disney was going to do a midnight drop. They did not. So it's 2 a.m. if you drop, and then you do one of the watch-alongs, which we did one of those. Remember, Mario, we did that for the
We did
finale of
that.
Boba Fett.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Why not a midnight drop, Disney? We all have jobs. You know, you're giving us the choice. Stay up all night, maybe try and squeeze it in before work. I don't know. But anyway,
Yeah.
we're back on the internet.
Teasing us.
We're back. Yeah, we went dark last week, but we're back. The cameras were rolling, just not here. So, but yes, we were back. It was a big day. We want to talk about a few other things besides. We're going to get Amanda in here about 20 minutes, and then we'll dive into Mando. We're going to do some fantasy booking of Star Wars, what we want to see next. We're going to pitch you guys on the Bad Batch. So we got a lot of Star Wars coming up. Yes, we're back. What's up, JJ? But before we go, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the two movies that dropped since the last time we aired here.
Movies are back.
Movies are back. You called it. We did that spot where you just said there's literally going to be no break. Every week there's going to be a movies, and we're in it. And we got Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and Cocaine Bear, which broke the internet. And a lot of people were comparing this to Snakes on a Plane, where it kind of broke the early internet, but then didn't live up to the hype. And Mario, I wonder, did you feel like Cocaine Bear lived up to the hype for you?
Cocaine Bear was definitely a movie about a bear on cocaine. And I don't think you can argue. I don't think that can be argued. I think here it is. I'm hyped for cocaine. I was hyped for Cocaine Bear. The premise alone, why not? Right?
Yeah.
I like it.
I like Elizabeth Banks. I think
she's funny.
And
She's
she's coming
funny.
up as a director. I found the movie complete. This is the thing. I found the movie completely satisfactory. I would have liked a little more Cocaine Bear doing stuff. You know.
Yeah.
Took a little while for the bear to get high, or maybe I guess he was high the whole time.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what was in it. Maybe it
Yeah.
wasn't enough. Didn't have enough punch.
Maybe
Yeah.
it wasn't as pure as we thought. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but overall I liked it.
Yeah, did you realize that Jesse, that he was the one guy was Mitchell from Modern Family? It is unrecognizable in the trailer, and then I'm sitting there, I was like, where do I know this guy from?
I did notice that.
Yeah, and I was like, wow. So I don't know about, and Jess, are we okay with spoilers on Cocaine Bear?
It's all good. I'm going to watch it anyway. I definitely am. I didn't even really realize it was already out.
It was a thing.
Go for it.
It made a lot of cash, but Yeah, R.I.P. Ray Liotta. That was his last movie too, and I thought again. I was telling you pre-show, it was very fitting. Like my Ray Liotta was Goodfellas, and you knew him with the red eyes, and he was the one that brought the junk into the family. You shouldn't have brought the junk. Paulie told you not to bring the junk. You mess with the junk. So I thought it was fitting that this was his last movie. I don't think it was. I think it was a good way to honor Ray Liotta.
Well, it jumps off of it. It's a smart casting. It jumps off of his whole Goodfellas spot, right?
Yeah.
Towards the end, the cocaine paranoia.
Yeah.
He was that guy.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Can I just cut a promo on O'Shea Jackson Jr.
Oh yes.
for a second? Who I really really like. I've loved him in everything he's been in, but he gained a lot of weight for this role.
He did.
I
You
don't
think
know
it
if
was for
that's-
the role, or you think it was good crafting?
I think it was. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. Say it was for the role. I'm saying the script probably said over. Well, I forgot the character's name, but overweight goon in basketball jersey.
Yeah.
So he just went ahead and gained the weight, and I respect him for that.
Yeah. No, I thought he was this had a lot of those Pulp Fiction moments when you weren't sure if you should be laughing, but then you were. But I think back when Pulp Fiction were doing it, you were kind of looking around like, should we be all? I think so many people in there went in there like expecting just like a Farley Brothers type movie where you're just going to be laughing until like the bear is like literally ripping people's legs off and O'Shea getting his fingers literally shot off.
Yeah.
like the
Surprise
fingers are
people.
not even next to each other and they got shot off. So it was pretty intense.
Wow.
Like Mar, did you have a lot of people that like was there a lot of LOLs going on at your screening?
It was a pretty hopping screen, and people were in a mood to have a good time. It was pretty active. I can appreciate
I
that.
guess you have to have a sense of humor for that.
They
Yeah,
initially
like the
told him that
darkness.
he was the cocaine bear.
That's what Jake
Are we talking about Ray Liotta or O'Shea Jackson Jr.? I kept thinking. Now Alden Aldridge was in this too. Young Han Solo.
That was him?
That's young Han Solo. But I kept thinking it was somebody else, and I don't know who I was confusing him with.
So you had young Han and then O'Shea, who was also
Young
in,
Han,
in
O'Shea Jackson Jr.
Obi-Wan. So this is
Yeah.
very fitting. Anthony, what's up, man?
What's up, Anthony?
Yeah, so that was very fitting for Star Wars Day that we're talking about Cocaine Bear.
Yeah.
You have all these Star Wars tie-ins.
Yeah,
so.
I like that.
Now, you know the story that this was inspired by true events, but you
Right.
know what happened to the bear who ate cocaine in real life?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure he lost most of his friends and family's contacts. Didn't speak to him for a while. It took a while, but he gained them all back.
Where was the coke from?
It really was a Kentucky, I believe, Kentucky drug dealer, and that was a shoot that really happened. He parachuted out, died on there, and then he dropped his payload. So, but the difference is when the bear ate it in real life, he just died.
I think there's a statue to Cocaine Bear.
There
somewhere.
is.
I like bears, kind of like, so I feel bad for that bear. But honestly, I am afraid of bears too, and I've
As you
never
should
lived
be.
anywhere where bears
Yeah.
are.
How do we feel about the children doing cocaine in this movie?
That blew me away. That was another thing that it's just they were literally like, I mean, they got like a big heaping knifeful,
Yeah.
and they're like eating. Like I think you eat it, and I was like, they're not really gonna let him eat it. Like they spit it out really quick, but I figured it was enough that they absorbed it, right?
That's pushing the bar,
I think so. I mean, yeah.
especially with what's going on with kids these days and all that.
Yeah, and then they spit it in the air, so they kept getting like puffs, and I was like, they gotta feel that.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. There was a lot of this was like really intense, like stabbings, shootings, legs getting ripped. I didn't have as many of the yucks in my screening.
Yeah.
There was a little bit more people that are like, oh, I expected to laugh a little bit more.
Like, this is kind of fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It's just good enough. I think for a movie called Cocaine Bear and all the hype and the trailer and everything, I would say it probably underdelivers a little bit. But I mean, this is a tough scenario to crack. You know what I mean? If you're going to make a movie called Cocaine Bear, you have to absolutely 100% with every bone in your directing body try to not make it a comedy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if it's funny, it's just going to be funny because no one's trying to be funny. Like Leslie Nielsen in Airplane.
Yes.
He has no idea he's in a comedy.
Oh, I know. OG.
Yeah.
Right? Airplane, like no sell.
Yeah.
He was no sell Leslie, man. He didn't sell anything.
So it's Cocaine Bear has to no sell the comedy, and it was a little. I mean, Elizabeth Banks has a comedy background, so I think she maybe leaned into that a little too much. You see him now. The Tremors approach.
What's up,
Yep.
Mike? Yeah, so I totally agree. The Tremors approach would have been the right. They were no selling in that.
Tremors
the
is a
whole time.
fantastic movie. One
I
of
feel
the
like
best
they
of all
could
time.
have done that.
I love
Yeah.
the Tremors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
So I think maybe that held it back from being the cult classic that it really wants to be.
Yeah.
You know, but it's satisfactory. It passed. It got a C+.
It did, and it made room for the real cult classic, which is going to be Meth Gator.
Meth Gator. Now we have Meth
Meth
Gator on
Gator.
Sci-Fi Channel. Yeah,
You knew it was coming.
yeah.
Everyone would have put money. You know, if you had Vegas odds maker, they would have been like, "What's coming because of Cocaine Bear?" Everyone would have said Cocaine Shark. You even started to see articles like Shark ate a bunch of cocaine, but no, Meth Gator was the first one out of the gate. That poster dropped quick, and people are already like lining up.
They're on.
For
Tickets
Meth
are being
Gator.
sold.
God bless the folks over at the
Yeah.
asylum that are cranking out these movies.
Yes.
Tylenol frogs. I would have
How about like weed piranhas?
That'd be great.
instead of them swimming really fast, they're kind of just like, oh, it's yeah, I guess.
Swimming together like
And they're
like
super,
with
and they're
music.
starving, and they're super hungry.
I got the munchies. Should
There
we
you go.
Should we eat those?
That's
toes?
exactly it. Weed piranhas get the munchies.
I try to pitch cocaine Care Bears, and then it just each Care Bear represented a different drug, and they just have it on there. That would have took the cocaine. I mean, that would have took the Care Bear stare to a whole nother level.
It really would have.
It's like, why is that bear? That's Molly Bear. She's gonna stare at you like that.
Oh, Molly Bear.
Mushroom Bear.
Mushroom
Like eyes
Bear.
are like. That's great.
We tried. We
Yeah.
tried. So, but yeah,
You have all combinations of apex predators and drugs.
That's all you
that
need.
You could
That's-
just crank out a
yes.
franchise of that.
Man, Sci-Fi was working around the clock that weekend. Working around the clock. What do we got? All right, let's hear your best pitch. That's an SNL skit, but it probably happened in real life.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure
Apex Predator drugs. Go.
and they cranked out that movie, and the editor was just staring at the render bar. Just please get this out by this Friday.
Awesome. So, yeah, that's Cocaine Bear. It was a cocaine bear, and it's delivered. I don't know if there's going to be a sequel. We'll see. It made a lot of money, though, because it probably didn't cost that much to go. And killer soundtrack, for sure. And it had some
Classic needle drops. It was
cast.
good.
And it had that guy. He's a comedian that's on TikTok. And he got really... I'll pull it up. Got to do credit to him. But he was the... He was the guy in the ambulance, and he is great on TikTok. And he was doing his whole social media campaign of like doing the pitches for Cocaine Bear. And then he went down a list of all the bears that Cocaine Bear could beat in a fight. And it was great. Highly recommend that. Check us out on Twitter.
Sounds great.
Oh, yeah, Mike, we're going to talk about that because it was literally bears versus ants at the box office. Science, man.
Who do you think would like win that battle in real life if there was just like a million killer
A million ants versus one bear?
No, a million bears versus a million ants.
yeah, who would win that?
That would be
Bears
tough.
would just...
I feel like the bears couldn't organize as well, so they'd probably fall.
Well, if you saw the end of Ant-Man Quantumania, I would put money on the ants. What can I say? I like ants. That was the closest Michael Douglas I could do. But yeah, it depends on the realm for sure. But Jesse, we're going to do spoilers again. Did not see Ant-Man and the Wasp
It's okay.
Quantumania, so we're going to talk about that before we'll bring Amanda in about 10 minutes here. But we're just real quick talk about Mario. So this movie for some reason is getting a lot of Rotten Tomato hate, and it's also getting just a lot of like critic fatigue. You think it was the film, or do you think that this is the Marvel fatigue that Amanda was and crew at the Socially Distanced podcast were just talking about? Marvel fatigue. Do you think it's fatigue, or do you think it was the film?
I think there's a little element of fatigue. Like, I mean, that's one factor because, I mean, we've talked about how the Marvel shows, I think, kind of devalue the product You know, you've taken something that was a huge film and turned it into a TV show that you want to be treated equal with the film. So that brings everything down. That's one thing. But I think the main thing that brings this movie down is just an absolutely awful premise for an Ant-Man film. Here's the thing. Think about Ant-Man 1 or 2, or think about Ant-Man in general. What is the thing that's cool about Ant-Man is that, he shrinks down super small, and then he's interacting with all these, like, oh my God, that salt shaker's huge kind of thing. You know what I mean? That's like the gimmick. It's like, oh, look at this toy truck. And I'm actually riding in the toy truck because I'm Ant-Man, because I'm small.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And so now we're in the quantum realm where there's absolutely nothing of contrast. You know what I mean? It's just an empty void. And he's shrinking and getting big, and there's nothing that's against him. And it's just, what's the point of, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. I never even really thought of that.
So visually, it just doesn't even make any sense. Like, it's a dumb idea.
That was 90% green screen, right?
That's volume, I think.
Yeah, oh, that was a volume, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. There was no contrast. I thought they were going to lean into the big joke. I thought this was the opportunity to do it, or at least hint to it, right? Like, everyone thought, well, Ant-Man could beat Thanos. You know, just do the anal attack.
Yeah.
Grow up. Boom. I thought they were going to kind of lean into that, or at least joke, but they didn't hit that joke.
Yeah.
And I thought for sure it's still ripe enough. That was such a hot meme for the longest time.
Yeah, Ant-Man could probably do something to.
Yeah, the
Thanos.
boys leaned into it. The boys
Right.
did
Well,
it.
the boys did it for real.
Yeah, the boys.
Except through another orifice. But
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much the same gimmick.
But this did have a lot of laughs. Speaking of that orifice, when the mind reader, it's like he has 7 holes. The whole hole gimmick made me laugh. Like, how many holes does this person have? It's like, this person has 7 holes, and he's like counting his holes. Like, oh yeah, that's right.
Well, here's the thing. And that
Because
was
who didn't count how many holes they had at that point? Yeah. That's what I got.
Yeah.
those portions to me, and as I was watching those parts, I was like, why does this feel familiar? Like, this whole, all this interaction, the guy with the psychic, the guy who was psychic and could read your mind, and his head would light up every time he read your mind. And then you had the gloopy guy, the blob, that was asking about holes. It's like, why does this feel familiar? And I was watching some behind the scenes or whatever. And then, did you know that these are the Rick and Morty writers that now have been booked by Marvel to write their movies?
I did not know that they were right.
And I was like, yes, that's exactly what it feels like, a Rick and Morty episode.
oh, those
that's
are
happening
Rick
right
and
now.
Morty characters.
Yeah,
Wow, I didn't even
especially
realize
when you think about, like, the guy with the psychic guy with the light up head, the timing there, like, every time that you keep hearing that sound, it's like brrr, every time he reads your mind.
Yeah.
And it keeps repeating. The pace is very Rick and Morty, you know? The way it just repeats that audio cue.
I will never not unsee it. Now I got to see it again with my Rick and Morty eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like tell someone to go to this movie? Is it that good?
I think if you want, if you're a completionist like I am, if you want to continue the story,
The Marvel
this was the beginning of Phase 5. This does kick off where things are heading. They're setting up the next 2 Avengers. This is step 2 in that journey to get to the Avengers, where I'd say step 1 was season 1 of Loki. So I think if you want to be caught up when it gets to that point, I think you do need to see this.
Cool.
I think.
What's up, sister?
What's up, sis? But yeah, I mean, because like Wakanda Forever, I was thinking about that. That really that was the love letter to Chadwick Boseman. Beautiful movie. Almost standalone. Like if you wanted, and I can't see where they're going with it other than the second end credit scene. I don't see how it's going to tie into the entire narrative of where they're heading, other than they just had to, put a bow on this story, but standalone. Where this is definitely an important part of where the journey is going, which is ironic. That's what it was. Ant-Man kind of drove the story in Endgame.
Yeah.
I feel like Ant-Man was step 2 in there, and there is a post-credit scene that I think kind of feeds into that's where this is going, because I feel like Guardians of the Galaxy, which is going to be the next drop, is going to be very similar to Wakanda Forever, where in a way we're going to be saying goodbye to the Guardians as we know it. I don't think it's going to tie into the overall story. So I would say, yeah, if you want to be a completionist and be ready for Avengers, Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, you probably should jump in on this one.
Good to know. Yeah, I'll see it.
Oh yeah, Mike said the world conflict around vibranium is supposed to be a big part of Thunderbolts, and that's the whole narrative thread. Which, yeah, that's when we get into, like, are you feeding into the entire before everything was leading into the next Avengers, but now you're tying into other shows and other properties that are leading up to it. So
Yeah.
Phase 3 versus Phase 4 was just so much bigger, right?
Yep.
Phase 4 was huge, and now they're phasing down. For the next one, there's going to be less shows, and they're going to try to make it to where anybody can jump in. Do you feel like it's intimidating to, like, try to figure out, like, if somebody says, I never watched a Marvel movie, where do I start? That's
Yeah.
pretty intimidating, right?
Yeah, and also the commitment. Like, if you're going to watch all of those, it's like, it's a lot. It's a big commitment, you know?
I mean, 30-something movies starting back in 2008.
Yeah, like, I haven't seen them all, but I like the ones that I have seen. And I've seen some of the main ones, but I sometimes think, like, I want to go back and watch them all, but I'm like, I don't even know if I have.
Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but you are in the room with the machete master. Mario's machete cuts. He will take any film series and he will tell you exactly what you need to watch in that series, and he's 100% correct. He did
I still got to do my Marvel cut down.
Yeah, you got to do a Mario's Marvel machete
Send that my
cut.
way, please.
He did the Friday the 13th. He did
Wow.
Evil Dead. It was born from Star Wars, which we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. Everyone said the Star Wars machete cut was, how to watch the Star Wars series. And they're like, watch episode 2, then 3. I forgot how it went. And then you jumped, like, somehow part 1 completely got cut out of it. And they turned it was watch 4, 5, then go back 2, 3, and then 6. They turned, like, the prequel into flashbacks. And now this next generation who love the prequels are probably like, STFU, man. Don't tell me machete cut. These are our Star Wars. So, but it's interesting. Mario's got the best machete cuts in that sense. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to cutting that shit.
We'll get there. We'll get to that
We
one.
will get there. So I don't know. What do you think, Mario? Should he go? Should Jesse go out and watch Ant-Man immediately? Let's Cocaine Bear, Ant-Man, or
first?
Creed 3. Throwing that out there.
Ooh, saw
I would
Creed
say,
TV the other night.
look, Ant-Man, I can't say there's any reason to go watch Ant-Man, especially when you think about now that the gimmick is it's going to be on Disney Plus in like a week or so.
That's true.
So why would you even bother? And here's the thing. They're pushing out these movies so fast, the effects aren't even done. And we get like the rough cuts, and then like they're not done rendering.
Really?
Yeah, like they continually update them. So like now that they do the movies digitally, yeah, so like they're re-rendering the movie and then they'll like reload it into the servers at the theaters because there's a new version.
What?
Because they're doing all these things last minute, and then so by the time it gets to Disney Plus, it might actually be done, and then they're like, whatever, they'll change it months later. But
Crazy.
so it's almost just like, what is the incentive to go see them? People are just going to see the Marvel movies out of fear of spoilers at this point. We're being blackmailed.
And just think, George Lucas was considered a heretic when he was going back and making changes and turning them into special editions. Now it's common practice, right?
Pretty much.
What you see, the theatrical cut may be different than the streaming cut. They may add that stuff in there, and then you have the unrated version, unedited version, or made-for-TV version. That was like really unheard of until Lucas started doing it. Started making those big changes, and people like hated him for it.
Yeah.
But now
look.
look, man. Now look at him now. So
I'll watch that on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
You can watch it on Disney Plus. You'll catch it when it hits.
Cocaine Bear, I might wait for for home as well.
Well,
Yeah.
the reason I was pitching Creed 3 because technically it's Killmonger versus Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah.
So they both have
Creed 3 looks great. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
I think they've done something really like I think more the way they leaned into Rocky 4 in Creed 2, they're leaning into Rocky 3 in Creed 3.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing good stuff.
And we were talking about this, and Amanda brought this up too. And you brought this up too, right? Just there's something about Jonathan Majors.
Yeah.
There's just like he really just like he steals the screen where you're just like you can't take your eyes off him like that. Like
Captivating.
that poster, the side-to-side poster of Creed 3 where you had Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors on there. I mean, if you had to do a Pepsi challenge, you know, I think which one you're going to draw your eyes a little bit, which is good. I think it's going to be Jonathan Majors because he's going to, like Mario said, leaning into Rocky 3. You saw no way how Rocky could beat Clubber Lang.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's this a little bit in Creed. Like you have, you know, the Jonathan Majors character is like he's been his best friend and he's been planning this whole takeover of his life for so long. He looks like unstoppable. Wow. And then you see him on the poster, you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah. And Michael B. Jordan directed this one, so that's going to be cool to see.
Yeah.
I think Tessa Thompson has become a great...
Oh, she's in there too. Valkyrie's in there too.
But she's like an Adrian variant.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm excited. I like that series.
I'm a little bummed out that I don't know the whole story, but Stallone kind of wrote it off, and he's like, they took the rights from me. That kind of sucks to know that, you know, this is a series that was born from the Rocky series, and to write out Rocky, you know, and knowing his backstory of everything he went through to get that made, it feels very like, kind of like, you know, when Michael Jackson bought the Beatles catalog.
Kind of feels
like,
wrong.
Yeah, like, what? No, it's like, don't do it.
Yeah.
You can do it, but should you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, Mike said Major's character feels like the Killmonger of the Rocky story. Yeah. Yeah, he feels really unstoppable, so it's going to be good. So
Excited.
All right, man. It's today. This is the way. This is the way. I'm sticking with this is the way. May the force be with you. No, today is this is the way day.
All right.
Yeah, let's take a quick break, and we'll bring a Mandalorian, and we'll start digging into Star Wars. So we'll BRB.
On all new releases at Rogers Video.
Hi, Video Sam's got exciting news for you. You can now rent a video overnight and hire these great movies from only 99 cents. But the best news is that by purchasing our special package plan, you can have this VCR absolutely free. Ring now, 892-3311 for details of this amazing offer. You could have a video at home tonight. Remember, 892-3311. Video Sam's libraries are convenient to you.
Movie tonight on video. Movie tonight on video.
You can rent a video player, too. There's a store near you, sweetheart.
Movie tonight on video.
They're helpful and friendly with films for the whole family.
Movie tonight on video. Movie tonight on video.
Want a beer? Mm-hmm. You know, this is really an interesting six-pack. See how it's completely covered? See the ends? Covered. Mm-hmm. That's so light won't get in. Light can spoil beer. Mm-hmm. And this is good beer. So they don't want light messing around with it.
Well, in that case, why don't we turn off the lights?
Where are you going? To get a Stroh's. That's about a 200-mile hike through heavy snow. I know. If you think of it, get two. From one beer lover to another's Stroh's.
I don't know what to do. What would you do if you were me? America's got this beer. It's called Stroh's Light. And it's fire brewed. You know, it's not like any other beer. So I called the State Department and say, let's make a trade. Our cigars for your Stroh's Light. They say, Fidel, you're going to have to forget about it.
It's not the same as other lights.
It's fire brewed Stroh's Light. We're only 90 miles away. We can't even get a decent beer.
Get to Loco. I told you we're back after Fidel Castro.
Yeah. And we are back.
All right.
You know what I liked even better than This Is the Way? I Have Spoken. The Nick Nolte voice from the first one. I'm going to try to make that happen. Maybe May the Force Be With You can't happen. We're going to make I Have Spoken.
Forgot Nick Nolte was in that.
Yeah, Nick Nolte, man. So, all right, let's bring her in. She is part of the Socially Distanced podcast from the Pop Break, and we know her as the Amandalorian. Please welcome Amanda Rivas. Amanda, are you there?
Hi, yes, I'm here.
What's up? How are you?
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This was so fitting. You know, for a while we were just trading memes, and then it just hit me as like, you're already kind of like in our world between pro wrestling, Star Wars, Marvel, and I was like, we need somebody for the Mandalorian special, and I was like, I got it. And then like, you were right there in your Ahsoka cosplay, and I was like, yeah, this is the way, literally. So Howard,
I know,
thanks.
and it's
Go ahead.
It's in my IG handle too.
That's right.
I mean, the Amandalorian.
So you've been doing the cosplay for a while? Like how long you been cosplaying?
Oh gosh, probably about 3 or 4 years now. And I've done different cosplays. Ahsoka was really my first intro into cosplay.
Awesome.
People were like, "You look awesome. You look great. You should keep doing it." So I've branched out. I've done Hela from Rag and Rock as well because I love her.
Oh,
we can never get enough Hela.
Good. Yeah.
Team Baddie. And Scarlet Witch is another one that I've done as well. But I always circle back to Ahsoka. Whether Rebels is the first cosplay I've done for her. Now I have a Mando version because we have to have one. This is the way.
That's right.
And then I've got my Clone Wars version or variant, I should say, stick with Marvel terms, variant in the works.
Are you building these custom cosplays yourself?
I am terrible at it. So I buy quite a bit.
Yeah.
I do sew some, but no, I'm not. I'm terrible. I can barely sew a button back on.
When did you start? When did you start doing it, and like, what made you like connect to doing that? Like, why do you love doing that? You know,
My son is the biggest reason. So he is a huge Darth Vader fan, and I don't know what it is. I feel like little kids, for some reason, love Darth Vader.
Yeah.
They connect to him. They empathize. Like, he's just like, Mom, he's really not a bad guy. He's just misunderstood. I was like, okay,
accurate,
this makes
which
sense.
is accurate now, for sure.
This is accurate.
it's cool. Your kid it sounds like he has a lot of empathy, and that's nice.
He does. He does. So the first time I dressed up and did cosplay, he was like, Mom, you look so cool. And just the look on his face, I'm like, I keep doing it. And now he's starting to do it with me, which is even better.
What?
So,
Oh, that's great.
That sounds awesome.
That's perfect. Is he starting off like you start off in like pre-cosplay, like you just throw him in a droid thing at first, like kind of rolls next to you like Chopper or something?
I wish. But he is Darth Vader to the nth degree.
Yeah.
That is the only thing at this point. He has done the Hulk. We've done the Hulk before because he did it with my Rag and Rock, cosplay. But Darth Vader is his thing, and that's how I started. It's like you pick someone that you love, and you go with it.
Yeah,
that's an idea that's
what
waiting
makes
to
it so real.
pop. Let's ping Favreau in this one, Jeff. Can you tag John Favreau?
Yeah, we'll tag
Baby
Willow.
Darth Vader. Baby Vader.
Baby Vader.
I know,
Baby
Baby
Vader.
They're going to need something because I'm sure y'all read that, Favreau doesn't really have an end in sight.
I did hear that today. I just heard that
show.
a little earlier.
Yeah.
I love it.
He's got season 4 written, but there's no ending. Do you guys think they're going to keep GroGu the same, or do you think we're going to see him age?
I think it's going to be interesting. There is a part of me that think that they were definitely planning for GroGu to be big, but I think he became this happy accident where now I think this entire new Star Wars universe that we're seeing on Disney Plus is going to 100% revolve around GroGu. He's going to be the new chosen one, for lack of a better term, right? Which the original, the OG trilogy, prequel trilogy, totally around, it was more Darth's story than even, Luke's story, right? It was Anakin's story, that's 6, it was his rise and fall and redemption. I think we're going to see that with GroGu. I think we're going to see him stick around, but I would love to see a time jump and fast forward with GroGu for sure. But I think GroGu, they got him back together with Mando as fast as possible. They kind of shoehorned it into Boba Fett because they're like, no, these two are a duo now.
I, for one, would not like a grown-up GroGu.
No.
I think they should keep him a baby forever. What no one wants to see. It's like when kids get older and they're not as cute or something like that. You know what I mean? It's just like nobody wants to see Baby Yoda grow up.
You didn't like, yeah,
Baby Yoda gets acne and stuff. Nobody wants that.
You did.
Well,
you were not
and
a
y'all
fan
see,
of.
I mean, we've all seen Yoda, so it's he's
Yeah,
not
right.
that cute.
That's what we're looking forward to.
creepy.
No thanks. Keep him a baby. He can be a baby for like 900 years, right?
Mario was a big fan of Baby Groot, but he was not a big fan of Thicc Groot. That's coming out in Guardians 3.
Yeah, the new Groots. Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah, I think you said you were a little creeped out by him, right?
Yeah.
I've officially broken Thicc Groot. Is it with 2 C's?
Yes, with 2
2 C's,
C's.
Thicc Groot.
Thicc Groot.
Okay.
I am Thicc Groot.
But yeah, so we just watched a couple of times. Let's jump in. Mandalorian.
Jeff had to show up with his password, by the way.
I did, yes. The password to
that's
save.
a shoot.
But what were your Amanda? We'll start with you. What was your first reaction when you saw it? I think early this morning, just like I did.
Oh, I was at 2 a.m.
You were
right on the dot.
Yeah.
I took a quick power nap, and then I caught up in a little bit of anime as I was behind on, and then it's like 2 o'clock on the dot, right on.
Boom.
Oh my gosh, I was really pleased with it because, it was hard to follow Boba. Boba Fett was kind of a little dry. It wasn't my favorite, but except for when Mando showed up.
Yeah, I know. That's when I thought it got good.
Yeah, it was like Mando 2.5 happened, and it made me want more. So, super excited. Lots of Easter eggs. Do we spoiler alert everybody?
Oh yeah, we'll put our spoiler there.
It's been out for almost 12 hours. If they haven't seen it, it's their own fault.
I know the internet has already spoiled it.
Yeah.
You are not a fan if you haven't seen it already, at least once.
And you know what's wild is like the movie sites, the Star Wars sites, they put out their spoiler reviews before it's even out.
Yeah,
like hours before.
Yeah, they do, and I'm like, stop. A couple of the sites I follow, I'm thankful for that. They're like, hey, spoiler alert. Hey, if you haven't watched it by Friday, you're gonna get spoiled. So I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah,
'cause I used to hate that.
And if you're like interested in this stuff on YouTube, the algorithm sometimes will just shoot spoilers at you. It's just like, look, someone filmed it on their phone. Here's the ending of the movie that someone filmed on their phone. Isn't that nice of me?
And TikTok does it too. It's like spoilers for me. It's spoilers, and then Pedro Pascal.
Yeah,
like thirst trap, pretty much.
The spoilers are a thirst trap.
Yeah, I mean,
the spoilers are everywhere. Like I think I don't know if I told this story. So I was avoiding spoilers for The Force Awakens. And me and my son, we got tickets. It was like a 6 a.m. showing. And he's like, you better stay off your phone, Dad. Don't go on your phone. I was like, I'm fine. I won't go on there. And I was like, I'm just going to go to this account called Oddly Satisfying where it just shows like weird ways that you can put paint. And it was like, oh, that looks kind of cool. And just nowhere, at a random in the comments, Han Solo dies. And I was literally walking into the theater. And I was like, what? And like in the parking garage, I was so pissed. I literally reported him to Instagram, said every one of his pictures were inappropriate. Like everywhere I could, I just completely like just spread. My son was just laughing. He's like, why did you go? I told you not to go on your phone.
That's so funny.
I totally would have done that. I would have been just livid.
It was so random. It's like, this wasn't even a movie account.
Oh, I should mention, like, I feel like maybe I did mention it, but I met the guy who made, like, when I played in, I think Vancouver, Canada. Yeah, like the Star Wars effects team was across the street, their offices, and their whole crew came to my show. And like, I was like hanging out with them after the show, and some of them were from Mexico. They're all living in like Vancouver, and their office is across this place called like the Guild Company, which is like kind of like an experimental, really cool jazz venue. But I got to meet the guy who made like he was telling me like, oh yeah, when Han Solo like got killed, I made that laser. I was like, what? And I was just like sitting there like, excuse me.
Wow.
Like, I was like geeking out on these guys. It was so cool that they were all.
That's
there.
absolutely awesome.
Yeah, my friend Pablo, like,
That's amazing.
He knows all these guys from Mexico, so he told them to come to the show, and they were all there. It was cool.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I was nerding.
Mara, what'd you think when your first reaction when you just saw it earlier?
To Mandalorian?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was great. It's the best thing Disney Plus is doing, honestly. Like, you just can't help it. It's like you were saying. It feels cinematic. I have this theory, Amanda. I haven't mentioned before, but like, I think Book of Boba Fett was just shot on like the leftover sets from Mandalorian. I think they just somewhere in the back,
in a side room.
yeah, just like in the parking lot where they got rid of. Here's the Tatooine set. We're not using this anymore. Why don't you film a series on it? And it's like, it was just.
Come on, didn't Robert Rodriguez make that?
He did, and I like Robert Rodriguez, but I think. Like I said, he's the guy that you hire when you want to make something super low budget and fast.
That's
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was about to say we might see it in a future Desperado, something, maybe a future Predators. There might be this set of Tatooine back there somewhere.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. He's like, I might have a place that we can film some of that.
But this stuff, I mean, Mandalorian immediately feels cinematic. It's like a movie. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just there's something about it. The way they sort of even manage the references, Jeff, like you pulled this, like the Carl Weathers and Mando handshake, the way that was drawn out, and you're waiting for it, just like do the thing,
Dylan,
do the thing. Yeah. And then like, don't get Carl Weathers is doing Happy Gilmore too in there, right? He's got like the little bit of that. We got a stew going. Yeah. He's doing a little bit of that in there, right? It's just so well done. It's the best thing on Disney. It's the reason to have Disney. I love the week to week, but man, I would like to just watch them all, or at least give me 3 at a time or something.
I was thinking about that when I was watching it. I was a little bit like, oh, I wish I could just keep going, but I also like the build up.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Well, and they have been doing that. I'm surprised. Well, I'm not surprised because they want to pull people in for Mando. But didn't they release 2 episodes of Andor? I think like 2 of Kenobi.
Yeah, they did.
And even Bad Batch, didn't they release 2? So they were releasing a little, a few. And so, but I think, Mario, you hit it on the head. I mean, this is the reason why so many people have Disney Plus or borrow your friend's password.
Can you imagine? Disney Plus is the only channel out of all the other streaming services you have where they really only have one thing at a time to watch.
Yeah.
And it's usually just some kind of short form series. They don't really, when they have the Marvel movies, but I don't know how much of a draw those are. I guess they got the Pixar movies as well.
Yeah, they got.
I was trying to I'm a huge Willow fan, and I was trying to watch the Willow show, and I don't know if it was like the time I was watching it, but I wasn't feeling like me personally. I wasn't feeling Willow vibes. This at the beginning, I was kind of like, what's going on?
Yeah, it was a little low on Willow vibes.
I don't know. I'm not trying to. I should get back into it.
I mean, I watched it, and it got better.
Cool.
It got better. I think you really, you have to really kind of get the notion that it's going to be just like the movie out of your head.
Yeah.
And look at it as a standalone, show, and it picks up towards the end.
Nice.
I promise.
Good.
Because and that's the nice thing for me about being on our particular pod is I have to stick with something. Exactly. I ordinarily would abandon it sometimes. And I'm glad I stuck with Willow. I have to say, towards the end, it got better. And some of the music covers got better too. I wasn't crazy about them in the beginning, but then they got better.
It's funny.
So it gets better, I promise.
I was going to tell you that, Jesse, you being a musician, I whipped out my phone 4 times during Willow to pick up songs.
Wow.
And they were all covers.
Amazing.
Like there's a Enter Sandman cover that I never heard before, and I was like, oh man, I was like, all right, I'll throw this on the gym mix. This is pretty good.
Nice. That's good to know.
That was a good cover.
Yeah, that was a good cover.
Like I think it was my favorite cover.
Yeah,
I'm so happy just to hear that it went well, that it went in a good direction.
Just, go back to it and you'll be good.
I liked how they had like some characters from Willow, like the like the girl, the red-haired girl.
Yep.
I was like, oh, this is cool.
And I can't even remember Willow, honestly. I remember only portions of it, but some of those 80s fantasy movies all blend together. Like Willow bleeds into Legend and Never Ending Story. They kind of just like overlap, and it's hard to decipher sometimes.
Yeah, it did have a pretty much blend, but it's the music is important, right? And just we were talking about this. Yeah. Like people would say, what was the best part of the Book of Boba Fett? Is the music. The music, like how many people were not hyped when you hear for Mando, it was like dun 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 dun. Like, oh man, it was so good. For me, it just brings back watching my older brother watch Planet of the Apes. He had that kind of vibe. Like that was my intro into sci-fi. Like watching him get hyped, and it's all about the music, man. That music puts you in the zone.
Sci-fi is like, in fantasies are some of my favorite like scores. Like especially sci-fi because you're using a lot of synth and electronics, and I love that stuff.
Oh yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, my goal.
I know.
Is
As somebody who's.
Go ahead.
Oh no! I love synth music, like 80s style. Yeah, it all about it. So I love sci-fi fantasy soundtracks. I actually work out to Mando's kind of little theme or Boba's theme when he shows up in Mando.
Oh,
I work out to that theme.
Nice.
I think it's the armor. Maybe it's Capture the Flag or the armor. I can't remember the two. It's like a blend, and I'm like. Putting it on a crushing weight.
It's great. It definitely gets you going, gets the adrenaline going. Is it the guy? Is he doing? Is it that guy from Sweden that's doing all the score?
Ludwig.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep, Ludwig.
I love him.
Both.
He did
the one they let out every once in a while,
a
little bit.
Yeah.
Let him out of a dark room. He's not allowed to leave anywhere. Make music.
Yeah, stay there.
Well, I think about the original Star Wars. You got pulled in because of John Williams, right?
Oh, yeah.
You hear the stories of people watching Star Wars with no score, and they're like, "What the hell's going on here? Like, what is happening?"
He's telling the story.
He is telling the story there.
So much emotion in his work.
And I think that has a lot to do with why I'm. Don't get me wrong. Favreau's a fan. Filoni and Dave we trust, but that music is guiding you through this journey and putting you in these places, which on this latest episode, Boba Fett, we were kind of stuck. We were marooned on Tatooine the entire time. Like in this first episode, we were already on like 3 or 4 different planets.
Yeah.
Like right out of the gate.
It was a great episode.
And it was like really good. It was all set up. And the press got episode 2, and they're doing really good because you can tell everybody who saw it, and they're not saying a word. But other than they're like, wait till next week. Like everyone's saying that, and I'm like, oh man, you shouldn't even said that. But I mean, I'm already going to be hyped. But this first episode was definitely. I feel like they cleaned the table. We know this is no longer, Din Djarin the bounty hunter. This is Din Djarin, the father to GroGu, and they're about to start a whole new adventures for sure.
Yeah, and he's dropping the little nuggets of advice for GroGu.
I was just going to say
time,
that.
Right?
I like that.
Never trust a pirate.
And showing him his little tools. He's like,
I think
he's getting them ready.
Favreau is just a master at booking because he took the best thing in Rise of Skywalker and put it front center on Mandalorian and just hijacked it. He's like, nope, this is mine now. Babu Frik is mine.
Oh yes.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Bad baby. Yeah. I'm like, I am dead right now. I can't. I need somebody. I hope there's a Funko. If you're listening, make that pop. Please.
It was. I was thinking about like how many toys just got sold just in that scene alone, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, did y'all see on your Disney Plus? You can scan the QR code.
No.
When you're watching Mando, so the last tab is a shop tab. If you open that up in the app, you can you get a QR code and you can buy select items.
Whoa.
From
how
episode.
Lovely of Disney to do that for us.
Well, they have their own dedicated website too. Like they do a drop of different items from all over the internet every week.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they did that the last season of Mando. I don't think they did it for Boba. I think they did it just for Mando. Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That was probably in George's as he was walking out the door. He's like, "Here's the treatment for 7, 8, or 9," and don't forget to make money on merch.
Lots of money.
I like money though.
Because he was a merch, obviously he was a merch machine.
He got that. He was the first one to think of doing that. He's like, I think he sell the Star Wars rights or something, but he's like, I'm keeping the merch rights.
Yeah, he did. He waived his salary.
And then they were putting Star Wars on everything all of a sudden. That was like the first time Star Wars on a lunchbox. Before you can only get those plain lunchboxes with no logos.
Yeah.
He's changing.
So I have a random question for you guys.
All right.
Speaking of, since we talked about Pedro Pascal and Din Djarin being daddy, right?
Yes.
So love The Last of Us. I'm watching him in that as well.
Yeah.
Love him. Even though it's a completely depressing show, but it's really, really good. Do y'all worry that there's going to be like Pedro Pascal burnout? Because he's like everywhere right now. I mean, do y'all worry he's going to get burned out or he's going to get typecasted in that type of role?
I think not if he chooses the right roles, because I think right now he's in a spot. Here's the thing. Did anybody ever get tired of Harrison Ford? Are you tired of him? No, right? It's like he could do whatever. As long as he's picking the right path, I think he could get as big as humanly possible or whatever. He could be Harrison Ford. He could be the next Harrison Ford.
It's interesting how like the shows are happening at the same time and they are like very similar concept. We were talking about that I think last time I was here, but that is interesting, and I don't know how many people think about that, but you guys were quick too, so I'm sure a lot of
Favreau did bring it up too, that it's not lost on him that he realized there's a Joel and Ellie element that's happening to this storytelling at the same time. But I don't think we're going to get burnt out because I've talked about this before, Mari, we talked about this. How many actors can go in there and steal the show from Nicolas Cage about a movie about Nicolas Cage?
Oh, dude. When I saw that movie, I knew it was like, yes, Pedro Pascal is a star.
Dude, I'm so psyched that they finally memed something from that. It took a little bit of time.
Thank you.
Yes, that's so
Thank
good.
You. I was about to say that. It's everywhere now.
Yes, it is so good. And it's just like, and Nicolas Cage, again, is the straight man even in the meme.
Yeah.
He's the straight man in the meme. And it's just like,
that movie is fantastic.
Yeah,
but I think
that gets better with each
viewing. I think it suffered from a really bad title. I just think the title is confusing. It sounds like some self-help book that you discount bin at Barnes & Nobles or something, But it's great.
Because I almost didn't go see it because of the title.
Yeah.
But I saw Pedro Pascal was in it, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And
it's got to be good.
And if you saw Pedro Pascal on SNL, that was probably the best episode of SNL in years. Every sketch is a banger.
Yeah.
Like, I have not seen
Can we recast him? We want to put him in Mario Kart or the new Mario movie.
Oh my God, for real?
Is that? Oh,
I think
I
was like,
tag them right now.
Tag them because I'm pretty sure
CGI it, fix it.
I'm pretty sure the folks at Nintendo were like calling their producers is like, did you see the L thing? Is our thing like that? Did we get Pedro? Who did we get? Brad Pitt? No, Chris Pratt.
Here's the thing too. Do you guys remember in season 1 of The Mandalorian, there was the whole, and this may go into your theory, Mario, there was this theory that Pedro Pascal wasn't happy. He might be walking off the set. There was going to be a delay because he was realizing that it's just like he's going to be playing this character who's wearing a mask the entire time. Yeah. And they can literally just James Earl Jones take his voice, even synth his voice and replace him. And I think he wanted to get his mask off for some scenes just because he's an actor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now, fast forward now to season 3, and there's nobody that can play that because he's got that electricity, even that's shining through the Beskar armor. It has to be Pedro Pascal. Has to be, 100%. And the mask is going to come off. Make no mistake. I don't know how it's going to happen. He might be holding the LightSaber. He may unite all of them, and he might say, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't believe in this. And he's going to take that mask off. And it's going to have to be Pedro Pascal under there. Because, again, he's showing in The Last of Us, which ironically also almost covered his face with a gas mask, that, like, he will carry this character. I mean, that Mando is big because of him. How many characters played Boba Fett, right? Before Tamura, there was, Daniel Logan, and he wasn't even the original Boba Fett, and they went back and like changed the voices. But Pedro Pascal is Din Djarin, and it can be nobody else, with or without the mask.
Yeah, agreed.
So that's
I agree.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
When was the first time you ever saw him in something? He was Narcos.
He was in Narcos. I think that's the first time.
Oh, that's right, Narcos.
What about you?
I mean, I think
man,
he was on the Game of
saw
Thrones, which I didn't
him-
see.
Game
but-
of Thrones is where I remember him from,
yeah.
because that just, again, that one.
He was in Buffy.
Oh, that's right. He was
He
in
was in
Buffy.
Buffy. And it was funny because I think people are posting screenshots and photos from that, and I'm like, oh my god, I remember seeing him with my sister. She's a big Buffy fan, and so yeah, I was like, oh, that was him. And then he was on NYPD Blue also
Nice.
Yes,
for
he
like
was.
a goth guy that's going around the internet too. That's like the zaddy love, you know.
I love it. I love seeing like
yeah.
actors that like have blown up, and then you kind of like you're like watching something, and you see they're like a tiny role, and it's just like it's cool to see that because you know they're grinding and they're doing everything they can, and they're talented, and
Yeah.
the door's finally open.
And we were talking about that right earlier. It's just like the overnight success. You don't see the 20 to 20 years of grinding to get to that. It's happened in pro wrestling all the time. You grind and you grind and you grind and like, oh, where'd you come from? It's like, I've been here all along, man. It's just finally looking at me.
Yeah.
Right. He has that because he was probably the best part of Wonder Woman 84. Like, I'm sure that, I mean, that
Yes.
movie was enough that people are like, oh, let's just forget about it. But he was really good in that. He really was good in that.
Yeah.
Have you all noticed that like lately in films, like in the last like 10 years maybe, it seems like the main character doesn't have to be like some young 20-year-old like super model. And I love how like finally like big roles are still going to like people who've been in the game a while that maybe back in the day would be considered like, oh, you're on your way out, you're growing gray hair. It's like that's in now, and like people are, I like that. You know, it really gives actors and artists like a longevity. That's
Which you
important.
need, right? Yeah,
You know?
I totally agree. I think there's a lot of those old typecasts are getting blown out of the water finally. Like you have to be at a certain age, or you have to be, that's getting blown out of the
I like
water
that.
for sure. Because again, now you're going back to the art, right? Just like, are you gonna? We're talking about this with Jonathan Majors. Like, are you gonna be somebody that I can't take my, and Mara, didn't you talk about this? I can't take my eyes off you, right? Well, no matter what, like there's something about you that the camera really enjoys, and I'm gonna feel that and that's gonna shine through.
Yeah, some folks just have it. The camera loves them.
Yeah.
They either have a whether it's a look or a presence or a physicality that just works so good in the camera, you know, in 2 dimensions.
In all shapes and sizes too. It's
Yeah.
like it can be any type of person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gene Simmons was talking about that with singing shows, right? He's like, I hate those shows because guess what? Those guys are phenomenal singers. I can't sing for shit, but my voice is very distinct.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, that's how I made my money. I need somebody to be distinct. I don't need somebody to be perfect. You know, and I think you're getting that in actors, right? People want to see real. There's so much fake out there. We do want to see real. But sometimes fake is good. Like we were talking about the difference between CGI and puppetry. And I saw a legit pop when you're watching the GroGu scene where he picked up the Anzillion and he squeezed him in like Bad Baby. And you're like, this is cool. No CGI.
Yes, that's important. I love it.
So many toys were sold just in that moment alone when he picked him up. And
Oh, seriously.
GroGu
I was like,
started
that's my
squeezing
son's
him.
Christmas right there.
That's a Christmas card right there. But I feel like this one, they really were honoring that. I popped for the Anzillion, and I popped for the Purgles.
Yes.
You were talking about that earlier. You didn't see, it's one of those things like, how is that going to translate from animation to, you know, live action to see space whales that can travel at light speed? You know, and he was just looking at him, and somehow they made it look good. Like
It looked amazing.
Yeah.
Those
They
colors
did.
looked incredible. I was just like,
I
Well,
think James
and it's
Cameron
just-
approved.
Right? Well, and I just love the foreshadowing too, because the last time we saw Purgle was when Ezra Bridger and Grand Admiral Thrawn, say that really fast, right? Were taken off into hyperspace somewhere.
Yeah, unknown.
And I mean, it's
the
unknown, and it's like, is this teasing Ahsoka?
That's what it felt like to me. I felt like
It felt
that was
like
a
to me.
tease. Yeah.
I liked like right when you see Mando's like spaceship, you hear the melody, just that
Yeah.
little like little keyboard thing.
That we were talking about that, the pro wrestling run-in, right? Before, when you do a run-in, Amanda, you know about this, right?
Yeah.
Before, when you used to do a run-in in wrestling, you didn't need your theme music. Now you get the pop when the music cue hits, but in those first two or three notes, they know who's running in. Before, you had to wait for the crowd wave to get to you, and that's literally what this episode started off with. A Mando run-in, right?
Yeah,
when
like,
it did.
that Gator jumped them, and then everybody was trying to take the big one down, and then you had the Mando running in the back.
Yes.
And then it just dropped, and I was like, man, that's pro wrestling. It was perfect.
That was, yeah.
I thought that was a great way.
They were not going to make it.
No.
They were not going to make it.
No.
No, they
I
weren't.
feel
They were
like
getting fucked up.
the monsters are getting bigger. Like it feel like, and that's what made this feel a little bit more cinematic too, right? That it's like, oh wow, they're really blowing up the budget and not wasting it and making it look like too much like stop motion or something.
I feel like when I'm watching it, I just realized I feel sort of like spoiled when I'm watching it. I'm like, I'm spoiled. Look at this. This is amazing. This is insane. You know? That's
Yeah,
like
we're
how I
living in a
feel.
time that it's
Yeah.
just like this is right there at our fingertips.
Yeah.
Where before we're like,
crazy.
okay, we might get like a magazine or a book, but we're gonna have to wait 3 years to get that experience, and then that's all you're gonna get for 3 years. So just watch it over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Crazy.
What did you guys think about how they handled the Cara Dune thing? Like I know that was a big deal because that was for a shoot.
It felt a little bit like Poochie went home to his home planet or whatever.
Poochie went home.
Yeah. Yeah, I was okay with it because it just told everybody, you know what? Yeah, I know you guys are upset about this, but in the grand scheme of things, do we really need her?
We got this.
That's how we got this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think having Boba Fett and Mando again, I call it 2.5.
That's a good call.
Mando 2.5 helped because it let in. I mean that their story continued without necessarily, having to mention her. So it was. I think if it had gone from end of season 2 to, there was nothing in between, then things might have been more difficult. And then with the time jump too, I think that helped.
Yeah.
That helped write her off a lot.
I think they did it kind of smoothly. Like
It was very subtle, but it was enough for completionists to be okay that I was like, I got it. And they didn't have to have a random off-screen death. They just randomly said, they put it into the story. Like she caught this high-value criminal. So she now just got a promotion and she went off and Poochie went back to her home planet. But the character's still there, right? So if they ever decide, right, because there was a whole series that was going to be based on this. If they ever wanted to book it, either they found a way to mend fences, which I don't know if that's going to happen, but you can also rebook her. Like if you had a fantasy book right now, Sasha Banks did so good in The Mandalorian. I would put Sonya Deville and Rhea Ripley up for the role of Cara Dune. And if you wanted to,
Oh man,
I think either
Rhea
one of those,
Ripley.
Yeah, Rhea Ripley.
Oh, can we make her a Mando? Can we make her a Mandalorian,
Oh,
please?
my
She's
God.
a
She would
Sith Lord.
kill it.
If there's ever been
Or
a
Sith.
Sith Lord.
Oh, throw in the acolyte, guys. If y'all are casting Disney, whoever it is that's
the
casting,
Acolyte.
throw in the acolyte somehow. But okay,
fun.
since Sasha Banks showed up at the premiere, do you guys think she's going to show up?
I think
in Mando.
I think she'll be back. I think she'll have a bigger role.
I feel like now the way this ended, right, with Bo-Katan sitting on the throne and she's like, everybody left me. I feel like that automatically puts, what's her, Kosha? That puts the Sasha Banks.
Costas, I think, yeah.
Yeah, that puts her as the next ranking one. So they said they all left me. I feel like Sasha Banks' character is now going to be the leader of this faction who left her. So I think that's going to actually, I think she is going to show up with an elevated role, but she might be against Bo. Like, I'm going to follow whoever has, the saber. So I think she's coming back. I think Sasha is definitely coming back.
I think she'll be back.
This
yeah, for
was
sure.
all, this whole episode was nothing for just setting up for, I think we're going to get our socks knocked off for sure. Because season 1 was the reveal of what we thought was Baby Yoda at the time, GroGu. Season 2, obviously, you had Luke Skywalker literally break the internet and save Star Wars and just get everybody back together again. There's a rumor that this season is going to have one of those moments What do you guys think could be that moment? That's a lot, man. I remember it was 3 a.m. and I was one of those people that I was just like, when you saw, that X-Wing go by and I stood up and I was like, no. Like I was going through all these emotions. And like, to me, it felt like when I got into wrestling, it was hard to suspend your belief because now you're always looking, so you always were not in the moment anymore because you were thinking like that. I was pulled back into like being a fan for a second. I was a little kid, like, wait a minute, was that an X-Wing? And the whole time, man, the emotions, that's going to be a really hard thing to top. But Favreau said it's going to happen. What could it be?
I'm going to guess Sabine. I think we're going to get Sabine Wren.
Yeah.
And because Favreau's also said, hey, we're going to tie the show a little bit. You're going to get some Ahsoka. You're going to get some Skeleton Crew.
That's right.
And so to me, the most logical connection to tie both shows is Sabine. Because she is a Mandalorian. Her clan or her house is one of the older houses, the House Wren.
Yes.
And we have the Purgle that already showed up. So it makes sense for Sabine to show up, and I would pop. I loved Sabine in Rebels. She was one of my favorite.
She's so good.
So good.
Yeah.
I think it's got to be an original trilogy cameo.
You think?
I just think in order to get over and to like really appeal to a wide demographic, I'm gonna say Leia.
Do you think it'd be Leia?
Leia. That's my guess. Now, is that disrespectful? She's passed?
No.
Sure.
I mean, Carrie Fisher's family gave them the rights. That's how she was able to show up in Rogue One.
Yeah.
So they were.
I'm gonna say Leia. They get Millie Bobby Brown to go in there and then face swap her, and do an AI voice. It'll work.
Oh man,
I could probably do that on my phone.
Which is terrifying.
Well, they did it for Rogue One.
Yeah,
they deepfaked her.
Yeah,
she's still alive in this universe.
Yeah,
I mean, we already did Luke. I don't think they'll do Han Solo. I'm thinking Leia.
Yeah, I thought maybe Han. To me, the Han is a little bit more convoluted, right? Because everyone Han Solo is Harrison Ford, but they went with the Solo, which is getting a lot of love. I think we talked about this before. I think it was a product of bad timing, falling behind Last Jedi, and only a couple months later. But that actor played young Han, so they're probably like, who do you want to see as Han Solo? Do you want to see a de-aged Han Solo, or do you want to see what's his name, Anson?
Alden
Ehrenreich. Like, do you want to see it?
Yeah.
Or do you just say, just throw Chewbacca in there, everyone will pop?
Yeah.
It'll be easy.
Chewbacca and C-3PO. I don't think it'll be, I don't think Harrison Ford will do a TV show. He's still an old school actor where they kind of see TV as beneath them.
Although I gotta give a pop. I'm gonna go onto a dirt road. I didn't even think I would like Shrinking on Apple.
I
Plus,
didn't even think about that.
He's phenomenal on there, and that show is so good. But that's a whole nother spot for another day, because we'll talk for hours on that. But yeah, but you're right. I think there are actors that still do think in those senses, but I don't know. Would he come back to Star? Because I feel like he gets angry at Star Wars.
I was just like watching something about like Matt Damon talking about like where films are going and how there was a certain time where films, like the films that you're seeing like now, like Star Wars that are being turned into series, like back in the day, those would be like a film, but now apparently theaters only want like the Marvels and like the really big blockbusters, and a lot of stories about like intimate stories and simpler things are becoming more like Netflix or like
it's a weird time, because like I feel like things are getting stretched and pulled in different directions, because I think what used to be a really good indie movie, like if they made Pulp Fiction today, it would be 9 episodes on Netflix. You know what I mean?
True.
It's like they've taken the indie film and turned it into a TV series, and I think that has just sort of almost not killed, but it's definitely decreased the amount of indie short films that we see.
Yeah.
They called them like, I think he was saying they called them mid-budget films, where they were like 80 million kind of films.
Man. Just like movies for adults with like, a moderate budget. Things that they just don't make anymore. But yeah, I think not everything needs to be a TV show. I think Marvel's learning this. It could be a two-parter. Make a 2-episode series. That's it. Two 2-hour movies, 2 90-minute movies, and call it a day.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this. The Guardians Christmas special and Werewolf by Night were
that was really good.
Great proproperties. So good.
I love both.
So,
Werewolf by Night was fantastic.
It was so good, and those become annual viewing. Like I was like, yeah, I'll be watching these every year around their appropriate holiday. I'm gonna go back and visit
I'm just happy Gael Garcia Bernal is getting his moment.
Yeah.
I mean, I've loved him for years, and him and then Diego Luna way back in the day. I'm happy to see diverse actors, even again with Pedro Pascal. Like there's more diversity. These actors have been around for some time.
Yeah.
So I popped when Gael showed up. I was like, oh,
yes.
So
perfect casting. I feel like I've been looking at his face because we had the Werewolf by Night poster on the desk for so long.
Yeah.
That you got from Alamo for so long.
Yeah, I heard like Diego Luna's like really involved in like, the Mexico City.
I feel like we got a stack of these.
Oh,
I missed the screening.
Nice.
Missed the screening, but got the poster.
Oh man.
Hey.
So, Mander, what are your feelings on? And I know some people are not down with this, and some people are. I am for it. I pop. What are your feelings on cameos on these types of series? Like the cameos feel like they actually weigh whether a show is going to be good or bad. Like how well the cameo's done, whether it's a passing of the torch or stealing the show. What are your thoughts on cameos?
I'm not opposed to it. As long as they're well done and they serve a purpose. And in Filoni and Favreau, we trust because they have managed cameos. I know some people got upset that Luke showed up, especially training Grogu. To me, it made sense. And I loved how they used Ahsoka and they brought her back.
Yeah.
I fangirled. That's probably one of the people I've cried.
Yeah.
People were mad that Luke showed up. What is wrong with people?
Oh yeah. Well, people were like, "Oh, this deep fake Luke," and it's another Skywalker thing, and everything has to tie back to the Skywalkers. I'm like, well, it kind of does because the whole saga exists because of the Skywalkers. But I mean, not everything's going to directly. I mean, look at the way Andor was done.
Yeah.
It didn't directly reference the Skywalkers. But what happens in Andor, it still ties into the overall story. So I feel like as long as the cameos are strategic and they serve a purpose in furthering the story and not necessarily taking over the story, but as long as the story continues, again, I think Favreau and Filoni have done a fantastic job with their cameos so far, both animated and in person. Because even watching shows like The Bad Batch. I popped for Cad Bane and Fennec Shan's showdown, fangirled over here because I'm like, oh, best thing ever. But between bounty hunters, and then of course that translation, from Cad Bane showing up. I mean, that was the other part of Boba Fett that worked for me.
Right, was
Cad Bane showing up, and so people get mad. And to me, it made sense for Luke to show up. He was the only Ahsoka wasn't gonna show up. She was the only other person who could.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, and so for people to get mad, it's kind of like I say, like some of the angry wrestling fans that are out there that kind of complain about everything. I'm here like you guys, same thing with anime, same thing with Star Wars. Y'all all must be the same fan of everything because y'all complain about everything.
People are like very much, they really want what they want, but you got to kind of roll with what you're getting too.
Yeah.
And I think if you do something like tastefully, like a cameo tastefully, it can be cool. It doesn't have to be too crazy,
Yeah, and story-wise, like you said, if random Jedi that you didn't even know was alive showed up to take Grogu, what kind of weight does that have? Like, are you going to be up there crying, or people going to be like, how many hours of reaction videos did you see just to see people reacting to someone to go back? Mm-hmm. I think it was great. I mean, Star Wars was already on a little bit of shaky ground, not financially, but shaky ground creatively because of the reaction to the sequel trilogy. So, I mean, they needed a W, and they needed a big W, and they did.
Yeah.
They literally knocked
delivered.
it out of the park.
They delivered. Well, and then I feel like, again, Luke was a logical choice because the other Jedi that possibly could have, I mean, everyone talked about Ezra,
Yeah.
You know, I think Ezra floated around a lot. Cal Kestis.
Cal Kestis.
You know,
yeah.
Quinlan Voss was another one that came up. And, you know, if you're a hardcore Star Wars fan, you know those names, but not everybody knows. And everybody knows Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
And that's the appeal of Mando, I feel like, is that Mando and GroGu appeal to everybody. You don't have to be a hardcore Star Wars fan for you to love them. It makes you want to be a hardcore Star Wars fan, I feel like, and dig in further. But I feel like if they had gone with Cal, even though I love him, you know, or again, like Ezra even, you know, you'd have to explain who they are. I don't think it would have fooled people as much as Luke Skywalker did.
That's a good point.
Explanation videos are not going to get over as big. Like, I recorded myself explaining, okay, this is Ezra Bridger. That's not going to get over just like, oh my God, Luke, like
Yeah.
me being one of them, right? It's just like, of course, that was like a genuine, organic reaction that you're attaching to, you know, a piece of entertainment that moved you like that. Like, of course you want to go and yes, always move to moving me emotionally.
Yeah, it seems like a safe like idea to have Luke, but it also is, if you think about it, it kind of draws maybe the people who are disattached with the new stuff, like the people who like the old school. Maybe if they hear like, what, Luke showed up, maybe they'll start like dabbing into this new stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. So maybe they thought, they were probably thinking a bunch of stuff.
Right, because I do remember, and I was not one of them, you know, when the prequel trilogy came out, I remember all the hate that they got. Right, like even my son, and I explained to him now, and he's just like, do you think that the sequel trilogy is going to win people over, kind of like the prequel trilogy now is like revered of like how good it is? Like now, thank goodness, man, Hayden Christensen, like he's worshipped when he goes to cons. Like people want to see him. Like poor Jake Lloyd. I mean, he's just just a kid, you know, doing a role, reading the lines. And George Lucas he's known for moving you, but it's not like he has this witty dialogue. So this kid is having to deliver it, and they were burying him back then. And it's just like, how can you do that, man?
Where's Jake Lloyd
Well,
now?
I was about to.
He was actually, I think he spent some time in prison. He had a lot of issues after that. So
Him and the guy who played Jar Jar Binks were like traumatized from those films.
Yeah, he had to come out on his mental health about that. Because I mean, in the end, it's just like you got buried. But now, I mean, and Amanda, you can attest to this. Whenever Jar Jar pops up as like a cameo in like the animation, it's fine. Like there's no it's like C-3PO could have been seen as just as annoying in the original trilogy as Jar Jar was in the
He was the
prequels.
Jar Jar.
Yeah, he was, but like back then people weren't so jaded about their how can you get jaded about entertainment?
I was watching like those ones from the 90s, I guess, or whatever,
Yeah, the
or
prequels,
late 90s, yeah. And I didn't hate them as much as I did when I was like younger. I kind of liked them just because of like everything that's happening, and I was sort of like just rolling with it.
They aged so well.
Yeah.
They aged so well. Like
Well,
we got it.
I also feel like the animated shows have helped a lot with rehabbing these movies. Like the Clone Wars, after watching the whole Clone Wars, and even Rebels to some extent, but the Clone Wars and having those gaps filled in, especially watching Revenge of the Sith, which I've seen it a million times, is my son's favorite. It made me love the movies even more and appreciate, what Hayden and what Ewan McGregor and everybody brought to the table, because, the shows kind of softened and filled in the gaps and made everything make sense and come together that you can't squeeze into a movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like if Filoni and Favreau can do that with using the shows, and I feel like they are, we've talked about some of the Easter eggs, with the Purgles, and of course, Bad Batch. I know we haven't gone there yet, but some of now of what they're doing, setting up, I feel like the sequels a little bit. I feel like if they use that same approach, that maybe the sequel trilogy won't get as much hate later.
I do feel like they're setting that up too, right? I mean, there isn't a coincidence that, we'll get into that in Bad Batch. They referenced it, right? One of the biggest, clowned upon lines is from the sequel trilogy is somehow Palpatine has returned. And now you're starting to see in not only the Mandalorian, but in the Bad Batch that they're actually going to flesh out how that somehow happened. And then is that, like Amanda said, is that going to rehab the film when you can start filling in the backspaces. I think yes. I think it. I mean, it definitely helps it for the true fans. You may never win the casuals back, but for the true, you're going to win a lot of people back.
Those prequels like kept it going, right? And,
Yeah.
like kind of kept people engaged. So you kind of have to like tip your hat and thank them for that. And it gave them like new material for like Obi-Wan and stuff.
I think they could maybe get another look and a reassessment, but I think Rise of Skywalker is unsalvageable.
Yeah, well, they got Babu.
Yeah.
They got Babu Frik out of it.
I think
Other than Babu.
that movie's such a complete mess. I don't think there's any way to ever enjoy that movie, honestly.
No.
Wait, at least we got a Ghost cameo with the Rebel ship.
Oh, that's
Ghost was
right.
there.
Yes, Ghost wasn't one of the ships that was there. And the hot take for me is just like, I think the characters from the sequel trilogy were all great characters that may or may just, kind of like wrestling. Maybe they were just booked in an awkward way, but you can't blame the characters and you can't blame the actors. You definitely can't blame the actors, right? They're not writing their own stuff. But like the characters, these are all strong characters. Like I think Kylo Ren has stood the test of time, and he's seen as one of the strongest parts of that. And look what it did for Adam Driver. I think people are going to start appreciating him more and more as time goes, and that came from that sequel trilogy. So I think it's going to get a little bit of that love that the prequel trilogy got, but not as much because of like the Rise of Skywalker. Like you said, it was just like a Frankenfilm. That's a Mario term too, Frankenfilm.
Just pieced together out of all kinds of
It must be so hard to like put together such like giant budget films and then just have so many people like
Can you imagine,
shoot
right?
it again 9 times.
And they still are still profitable. Like you can make a lot of money on these movies, and people still will look at it as like a failure, to the point where Rian Johnson, right? Like Glass Onion is great. He's a great filmmaker, and he's been resorting, like he's literally getting into verbal sparring matches and fights on Twitter to try to defend his movie that made almost $1 billion.
It's crazy. People are very critical.
Yeah. But I'm all for, like, we're talking about the cameos. Like I told you guys when we were watching it, those monkey lizards as a little kid, I always like Salacious B. Crumb. Like you thought he was just one, right? And then I think we even saw him in Boba Fett. They were getting, or it was an earlier Mando season that he was getting cooked, right? But just to see them in the tree at all, again, the whole thing is about being emotional and just bringing back to a little kid. Like, I remember just laughing so much, seeing this little monkey staring at Jabba the Hutt's tail, and now we're seeing them in there. So, I'm all for using well-placed cameos, even if it is just gonna sell a monkey lizard toy.
It's a
I'm
nod.
The cameo, I just need an answer on, guys, and I want to know: did Max Rebo make it out of Boba Fett?
That is like,
because they had that whole explosion, and I'm here like, wait. My main question: what happened to Max Rebo, guys? We got him, and I'm like, did he make it?
Yeah, we
Do y'all
don't
think
know,
he made it? I hope he made it.
I don't know, right? Because wasn't he also in Jedi? Wasn't he also on the barge and he survived that? Was he on the barge where he survived that explosion?
I thought he was.
I don't know. Maybe we just need to, we'll get into that when we start fantasy booking. Maybe he's immortal. Maybe he just knows how to regenerate himself like a T-1000. All his flesh.
Wait, was
back.
Max Rebo in this episode? Did we get a Max Rebo cameo?
No, he was.
I missed that
part.
part.
Boba Fett.
Oh, he was in the book of
Boba
Boba
Fett.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about cameos, and like Max Rebo came back, and then that place, the cantina, got blown up, and I'm like, wait, Max Rebo, guys, what happened to Max? Did we get him out? He's in the Lego Christmas special.
He is. Yep, he is in the Christmas.
He
special.
is Max Rebo. Yeah.
I think Max Rebo lives. I think there's no way that they're gonna let him go. I was bummed because I was a huge fan of the Jennifer Beals character in that, and I wanted more from that. So I'm a little bummed. Again, but I don't know. Can you bring him back? But I was really bummed. She was a really good character in there. Like I like the whole holding out the helmet, and just like making the money and taking care of her patrons. She felt like a perfect, like a mob boss that's taking care of the muscle that's coming in there.
I do.
So we'll give this everybody's. I think is pretty high thumbs up. I know, like I said, Boba Fett. Did this cleanse the palate for the people that were not high on Boba Fett? We're back on Star Wars. We're okay. We're back in the groove.
Yeah, I didn't hate Boba Fett. I liked it, but I just definitely see a difference. you know.
It had too much. It had a lot of oscillation that was rough, and I think Obi-Wan suffered from that a little bit too. Everybody was so psyched, but the oscillation of like, whose show is this? What are we really going to do? What are we going to see? But it has great elements that you'll be able to pluck out, and hopefully you'll just kind of forget about the rest that you didn't do. I didn't go back and revisit it, but I wanted to do that before Mandalorian, but I did not go back and do that. Did you guys rewatch?
I did, and I didn't really see it. I think that was a separate standalone for me. I didn't really see any ties to Mando, and I'm actually okay with that because I also feel like, you know, we don't necessarily want to get in it's up to Mando to save everyone's show.
Yeah.
Right.
Either. You know, Disney and Favreau, Filoni, Kathleen Kennedy, everybody, you know, Star Wars Co. I mean, you have to at some point start making strong stories. And I think they did that, you know, bringing in Tony Gilroy for Andor.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like a lot of people slept on that show. I tell people over and over again, watch the show. If you haven't, it's incredible.
I'm in
incredible.
Right now. I'm watching that now.
So good.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Have you gotten to how far have you gotten?
I'm only like very early in. I'm two episodes in, but my brother's roommate is a huge Star Wars fan too, and he was like all over me about not watching. He was like, "This is like really, really good."
Yeah.
So,
It is
I'm
almost
into
a
it.
show that you can kind of sneak and tell people that don't even necessarily tell them it's a Star Wars show.
Yeah.
Somehow just put it on and let them start watching.
Yeah.
And like, wait, what is this show? But yeah, it feels way more grounded for being in outer space.
For sure.
And so it shows that you can develop and write strong stories without having to rely on Mando and GroGu to show up in your show to save you.
Yes.
You know, so I think Disney just has to be careful with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool that they kind of are like showing you the universe without like these main like Star Wars characters. And Diego Luna, I love Diego Luna.
Oh yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. So good. He was a perfect addition to that universe.
Yeah.
So before we go though and take a break and then we'll start fantasy booking Star Wars, I gotta ask, like, are you guys okay with? So the rumor is that this is going to lead into a film event. I don't know if it's going to be a theatrical film or it's going to be a series film, but the whole tying into Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Ahsoka series, and what was going to originally be the Rangers show, we're all going to tie into a big either series or film on Disney Plus, similar to what Marvel, pre-Disney Marvel tried with Netflix of bringing Daredevil, Power Man, Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones into the Defenders. Mm-hmm. That was the rumor. How do you guys feel about that? Because then you are going to need like a big bad, which has to be Thrawn. Is that going to take away from the series if they're just leading into a big team up, or is that actually make you want to watch more?
That's a really good question. I feel like as long as Thrawn is not the overall culminating story, or it doesn't derail the individual stories.
Yeah.
Because, you know, everybody has, all the shows so far have had their own individual moments. You know, of course, we know Ahsoka's going to focus on Rebels, you know, what happens after that. You know, Mando's got his own thing going on with GroGu. You know, Boba Fett was, here, let's catch, you know, who knows where Boba Fett's going to show up next. I feel like Boba Fett's going to be a wandering character.
Yep.
Along with Fennec. And as long as those stories, I think, stay independent and they don't get completely derailed, and that it doesn't feel like they're on as it. Mm-hmm. It could continue. Like if their paths all intersect and it's okay, we all had a culminating moment. We're going to go back to our stories. This is great. Yeah. As long as the stories don't suffer.
Yeah, like if they do it right, like it could be cool. But if they don't do it, it's like it's okay too.
Yeah.
You know, but
yeah.
Because Mario, you got back into a kick of what we were calling Freak of the Week for a little while. Like you were just like you wanted to be able to watch an encapsulated show beginning to end without not knowing anything before or afterwards. It was just 1 week. And that would take away from this a little bit if you're leading to, oh, this came from here. Like, what are your thoughts? You want to keep it Freak of the Week?
As far as the series go, I mean, overall, I think if they're going to build to a movie, they have to somehow create something in the movie that you're not getting from the series, because the movies have to be elevated above the series. right? If they want to create an event, I think an event TV show doesn't work. We've seen that with like the like you said, the Netflix Marvel shows. It's like they built to Defenders, and then Defenders was just like, oh, here's all these things you've already seen.
Yeah.
The movie's got to be different. It's got to be bigger. There's got to be higher stakes, and you've got to introduce something that you're not getting on the home shows to really get folks out
and get something that draws them out of theaters, even out to like, okay, you can't watch this on your iPad. You've got to go to the theaters.
Yeah, someone's going to pull people in the theaters. I mean, that's where Marvel is suffering right now. It's like, as I said, I've said this. They've just devalued all their IP because they're turning everything into TV shows, and now the movies don't seem as important.
It's like they've seen like that style of like thing happening on a small screen. Now they're used to it, and they're like, just watch it there.
Right.
Yeah.
So you almost have to make it like you got to go there.
And I think that
there's Marvel burnout too. I feel like is a big part of it. You had such a surge of Marvel products that came out, and I think the future plans, from what I understand, are they're going to slow down how much product is released, or at least shows, movies. Just smart. It's smart. So I think even with Star Wars, they're spacing some of the projects out, and I think that's smart to do so people don't get.
Yeah,
and that's where I think Solo did suffer. Like Solo was a great, was a good film, but it coming like a couple months after Last Jedi, and people are already divisive about it. They're like, screw it, I'm just not gonna. They already washed their hands of it, so it's gonna be interesting. But it's gonna be a fun ride.
It's gonna be a fun ride.
It's gonna be a fun ride. So let's take a quick BRB, and then we're talking about it now. Let's keep going. Let's do some fantasy booking from Star Wars right here after a word from our fake sponsors.
I bet you think my favorite bubbly is champagne. Well, surprise. What I really love is Sun Country Wine Cooler. It's a truly marvelous blend of real fruit juice and premium wine. As a matter of fact, it's the best tasting cooler I've ever had. So when they asked me to talk about Sun Country, naturally I accepted. Sun Country, say, gimme the real juice cooler. They told me I'd be working in fur, but this is ridiculous.
Wang announces the most important step in managing information since the computer, WangNet. WangNet is the electronic connection that gives anyone in your office any kind of information they need instantly by linking together every conceivable kind of office equipment, no matter who makes it. WangNet links you to floors below or satellites above, using just half its capacity, leaving room, of course, for Wang's next breakthrough in office automation.
I am here to make a pitch for Sun Country Peach. Why me? Because I'm crazy about the taste of peach. And Sun Country Wine Cooler is the most refreshing blend of premium wine and real peach juice I ever pitched. It has such a great taste. It's how you say it? Peachy, peachy. Sun Country. Say, give me the real juice cooler. I don't mind doing cuchi in a bear suit, but it's so itchy. Caramba, me está matando tantas hormigas dentro de los pantalones.
Let's buy our small computer from the giant computer company. You can't beat Goliath.
No. Right, David?
Sir, let's go with Wang. Nobody makes a better small computer or word processor. They're giant killers.
It happened before. It can happen again, because nobody's hungrier than Wang.
He's right.
I used to be frightened by all the wine coolers I saw. I was scared I wouldn't pick the right one. Luckily, I did. It was the most refreshing one of them all, Sun Country Wine Cooler. You see, Sun Country is a blend of premium white wine and real fruit juice. That's what gives it its great taste. Sun Country, say, give me the real juice cooler. If you don't say Sun Country, you'd better sleep with your lights on.
All over the world, Wang is a leader in office technology. Word processing, data processing, and now with our new electronic mail system, you can send all kinds of information from one part of the world to another. So New York can be around the corner from Paris, London from Tokyo, and San Francisco next to Rome. Wang, making the world more productive by bringing it closer together.
This is the tale of the Sun Country Kid. Rode into town on a horse he called Sid. But Sun Country wine coolers, for one and all, said, drinks are on me. Go on, have a ball. Sun Country's made from juice that's all real and premium wine for refreshing appeal. One sip and you'll know my story is true. Because when has this bear ever lied to you? Sun Country, say give me the real juice cooler. So ask for Sun Country. It's fun, never stuffy. And you can take that from a bear named Duffy.
always liked it on Arrested Development.
Oh yeah.
She was like, "Here's $1. Here's $5. Go watch a Star Wars."
That's a great line. I forgot about that. Let's book us a Star Wars, shall we? You
Book
guys
a Star Wars.
Want to book a Star Wars real quick?
Yeah.
All right. So what we were thinking is like it's Mando Day. This is the way day. Let's book where we want to see things are going, and we already started to, but we're each going to come up with 3 different movies, TV show, animated series, book. 3 things that you want to see from a Star Wars. So, Amanda, you go first as the Mandalorian. You get dibs. You go first.
We're doing one at a time.
Yeah,
right?
we'll do one at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do one
okay.
at a time.
Okay. So I really, really, especially with all of the love going to pre-Skywalker type of stuff, with the High Republic and all that, I really, really want to see us go to the Mandalorian Wars and the Jedi Civil Wars. I need some Darth Revan in my life, guys.
Yeah, you're going deep. All right.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Because I mean, we're going there.
Mhm.
We're going deep already in the lore. That seems to be the next part of the universe is going that way. So, I mean, give us some Darth Malak, give us some Darth Revan. I really feel like I'd like to see like an epic movie of some sort, because I feel like Darth Revan is such a compelling character that he deserves like the red carpet. No pun intended with the red.
Oh, exactly.
But just, yeah, I would love to see some pre-Skywalker, type of stuff. I'd love to see StarKiller show up.
Yes, that's another one. My nephew's.
I really do. I love Sam Witwer. He's my Star Wars boyfriend. Call me.
We'll tag him.
But I mean, the Force Unleashed. I mean, I feel like even in Andor, his armor
was there,
in the
right?
shop.
Yeah, and one of the antiques. I saw that.
So I mean, to explore that character, StarKiller, I feel like would make a good TV show.
StarKiller
to
would make a great
explore.
TV show.
Yeah,
I like where
I'm
your
here
head's
for
at
that.
because again, I think about this. So if you're talking about Revan, now you're going back into like the Knights of Old Republic, Literally, you can pitch any executive in like it's Game of Thrones meets Star Wars, right? Gonna
Yes.
go back Old Republic. Who's going to say no to that?
Two great tastes that taste great together.
Put some chocolate with your peanut butter. Make it delicious.
Exactly.
In the Clone Wars, are there like epic like battles here like going on? Like, is that what you're talking about? Like, you want to see some like epic armies of Mandalorians and just
yeah. I mean, they had the Jedi before the Rule of Two, when there was only 2 Sith. I mean, you had armies of Sith.
Yeah, I want to see that.
So if you want to see an army of Sith versus army of Jedi, then you got to go back to the Old Republic.
Please.
Yeah.
And I mean, you go back and look at the video games and you play the video games, and some of the cinematography in those was great.
Oh,
and I'm like, can you imagine bringing that back into a big picture type of moment? I feel like something like that on that scale needs a movie.
You're
For
right.
sure.
You brought up a lot of good points that we talk about the movies. You forget how many people got won over by Star Wars because of the games. Like because of like games like The Force Unleashed. And Mario, you got pulled into The Last of Us that you went on YouTube was like, I'm not going to play the game, but I'm going to watch the cutscenes.
Yeah, I watched the cutscenes, which was just as enjoyable.
You can do that with Star Wars, right? With some of those games, you can go see and watch those cutscenes, which are canon, and they're like, okay, this is good.
Detail.
This is really good. All right, that's a good one. I like it. All right, Jess, you're up.
Yeah, so those are my two. I got one more.
Oh, you got one more? Okay.
Yeah,
one
more because you said 3, right?
Yeah, 3. Yeah, sorry.
I really, really want to see, and I doubt it's going to happen, but how cool would it be for Mara Jade to show up?
Oh,
I would love for her. I know they'd have to make her canon. I mean, they're dancing around it with Thrawn, I mean, technically they put him in. So, I mean,
that could happen.
Could we see Mara Jade show up?
That could be the cameo that I think could break it. I just started laughing because I started thinking of, did you see, there's a video out there, and I think it came from the Robot Chicken guys when it was, and they were talking to George Lucas, and they talked about Mara Jade, and like he started shooting on him, like flipping, like get out of here, and he like started smacking him because like I didn't create that character, get the hell out of here. Like he started flipping out, and that was so funny, just to see him flipping out like that.
She's such a badass in the sorry, pardon my French, but in the books, I mean, to see her come to life would be amazing, depending on who you cast it to.
Yeah, and I mean. Yeah, the casting would be so important on that. And I think that would go far to, like, if you're, try to repair Luke. So if you guys don't know, Mara Jade was Luke Skywalker's wife which is considered what?
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
Yeah, there was a whole...
And they had twins.
Yeah, they had twins.
They had twins.
So there's a whole different story like that. So the sequel trilogy, I think a lot of that anger comes from a lot of people that were invested in the books and the comics that had characters like Mara Jade that like, nope, that doesn't exist anymore. Now Luke is like crazy old guy that just lives on this planet by himself. What's the planet? It's called Act 2. Like, what? It's just like, yeah, because it's Act 2. It's like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
those are my
yours are great. I feel like yours are really deep and like very like it just shows your love for the Star Wars world.
All right, Jesse, you're next. You follow that one.
Yeah, it's hard to follow. I can't follow that. Well, mine aren't as nearly as good. Mine are much more basic and simple, like maybe more mainstream, I guess. But I would like to see a Darth Maul film.
Yeah.
Or like a Darth Maul series.
Yes.
And that's one. I've always loved Darth Maul. I feel like he was so mysterious, and I kind of like how he didn't talk much and just was like very like, he doesn't say much, but he's a badass. But it would be cool to get like in depth, like why he is the way he is. And I think they do that in some animations, right? Or something from what I
They do in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
In Clone Wars, right?
Amanda, I was trying to pitch him on that last episode arc of Ahsoka versus Darth Maul, like right before,
that is some of the best Star Wars content.
Really? Like right before Order 66, it ties into the film so beautiful. Like, but that lightsaber fight between Ahsoka and Darth Maul, dude, that's cinematic. Cinematic.
And that's on perfect. I go back to those. It's the last season of the Clone Wars. It's that last 3-episode arc. It's beautiful. It's one of my favorite pieces. I can go back and watch it over and over again, and just it's amazing. And then Maul comes out in Rebels as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you get a lovely epic comfort.
There's a lot I need to catch up on, like Rebels, Bad Batch, and then that stuff. Like how many seasons or whatever?
Well, there's
is
7
Clone
seasons of Clone Wars. And
7.
Yes, 7.
Seven.
And I think Rebels, was it 3 or 4? It wasn't as many.
3. It was 3.
Okay.
But there are some YouTube videos that they can say, watch these. These are the episodes you want to watch if you want to stay in the canon. Because it's a touchy subject when you call episodes filler episodes. But you know, especially in the Clone Wars in the beginning, they had these episodes that were, like Mario said, it's going to start and end here, and it's going to have nothing to do with the overall story. But then they have these arcs intertwined with those that actually do have something to do with the larger story. So you could probably get away with like finding one of those like episode finders and watching those. If you're into that, you could totally do that and still have a great time. I sound like Mario.
And they also, I mean, they also give you a good backstory on Bo-Katan.
Okay.
As well. I feel like essential watching to understanding why Bo-Katan is the way she is in Mando and why the Darksaber is so important, especially Rebels.
Yes.
I'll get into this. Now you all are making me really want to.
We're pitching you.
Yeah, you're doing a good job.
After this, we're going to pitch you on Bad Batch, but we're going to get you. All right. So what's this? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you guys off. So we'll do all 3.
Yeah.
You go second.
No problem.
Do your second one.
My
Go
other
for it.
one's simple too. Like everyone wants to see like a strict Darth Vader. Like I want to see some stuff like what happened right after to the point where him and Obi-Wan maybe fought, like
in between.
Yeah, in between, just some stuff on him. It's kind of basic, I think.
That's not bad, dude. That's the heart of
I love some of the best comic material.
That's the heart of the story.
Some of the best comic book material comes from what happened after.
Like around that time and stuff. Ooh, that'd be cool.
So I read the Vader comic of just like that took place where he found out about, Luke. So then he went back and started trying to figure out, when did she have a baby? I didn't know. I thought she died and the baby died. So he started going back into Padme's like old life and going back to her apartment in Naboo, and like he started like being like
kind of like following her.
Yeah, on his like trying to piece together.
Stalker? Vader was a stalker?
Vader stalker is trying to figure out, when did this happen? How did this happen like right under my nose and I didn't know it?
Yeah.
So that's what you're thinking. And it was a great comic, man. I was like blazing. I read it on the iPad, the Comicology, so you can just go tap, 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 tap. Sorry, Dragon's Lair. I still buy physical books too, but like, yeah, I need that tap, tap, tap because I need to read fast.
That sounds like an emotional like series.
It was. Like, it really was.
Deep. I would like to see, like, I like that little character, like, and that we just saw, who's like building
Babu Frik.
Yeah, the guy building the little
bad baby.
Bad baby. It'd be cool to see like a little one like series on like a day in the life with those little dudes.
Yeah, I'm all about that. I think a Babu Frik series would be great. Babu or what are they? What is the name of their species? Do we know?
Anzillions?
Yeah,
Anzillions. I think.
Just like Babu Frik, and they run a shop, and it's just like everybody else bringing their repairs. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's like the non-droid repairs they have to do.
They're cute too.
Yeah,
that does sound like that could be sitcom like.
It could be a little bit like a Sanford and Son kind of thing.
Honey, I'm home. Oh, what a day. Taking care of all the voodoo I had to deal with.
Exactly.
Oh God!
All right, we
These
booked
guys
it.
always do this to me. They always do this to me.
Babu Frik series. They run the fix. Babu Frik.
That was my 3.
All right, that was good. You want to go, Mario, or you want me to go?
Well, I mean, let's do this. I'm going to do one real quick because this one just came to mind. Out of like, honestly, you know this, Jeff. Out of all of us, I'm probably the least the least Star Wars fan. And not that I don't love it. It's one of those things. It just was always just there for me, But I would really like to see. Is this okay? Would it be okay? Can we get Kevin Smith on the Star Wars movie? Like, just let him do it. And just let him do the Death Star contractors thing.
Oh yeah!
Like it can be a special. It can be like 1 hour on Disney Plus, but just do Death Star contractors.
Dude, that's the name. That's the name. You just named it. Death Star contractors.
That sounds interesting.
Give me
Death
the
Star
episode.
contractors have them, and then it just ends with the Death Star exploding. Just give him a chance. Let him do. It doesn't seem right
my
that Kevin
God.
Smith has not done a Star Wars thing.
I think we could tag him. We just met him. I
I
feel like he's still fresh and he knows Dos Incredibles.
He does.
Right? He gave that awkward. He's like, I'm going to hug you. I was like, really?
Cool.
So I think
he hugged every single person.
Yeah, he did.
In
I felt like our hugs were more important, though.
I felt bad because I got I didn't pay. I got a free hug and
free hugs.
Oh, damn! I like that. That's a good little twist.
Free hugs are good.
Yeah, but
that was great. I think, man, that's
a good
a high
one.
bar. All right, what else? Which one you want to do? Your two more, or you want to go win a ping pong them?
Let's ping pong them.
You want to ping pong them?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna ping pong them. I'm gonna keep it something that you guys, may have already read, but one of the best extended universe books that I've read, and it was before extended universe, was Darth Plagueis the Wise. That Darth Plagueis story was so good, and I read it, and then I listened to it in Audible, and the experience, it just immersed you into the experience. It felt so cinematic, and you just basically had the young Emperor, young Palpatine, when he's getting ready. You find him when he's a young rich guy, and he leads into how he gets into the dark side with Darth. The tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise, you get that. And it actually intertwines itself with the beginning of The Phantom Menace. And then you get baby Darth Maul. So you get how that whole story, the book is great. And I want to see, I think that's, I don't want to see it as a film. I do want to see that as a series. I think that's more of just like a 6-episode limited series, make each one feel cinematic. I'd love to see them make that into a series. Darth Plagueis the Wise.
I feel like that's probably a very real chance because I mean, if the way that everybody or all these other shows are starting to touch into the sequel, and even just Palpatine's long-term planning. I mean, I think this book, which I love it too, by the way, that's why I was like, I popped over here. It's so good. But it explains, I guess, why he's doing what he's doing and all of these plans and just his obsession with, eternal life.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very real choice.
I mean, I'm very hopeful. I can even hear it in the head, like the trailer just over the black screen. And then you have him say, have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? And it'll just lead into what the trailer is going to, oh man, yeah.
Dude, that'd
be
amazing.
Fun. I definitely would mark out like that. Ian's a treasure. The Rise of Skywalker, again, was not his fault. He did, he did what he needed to do. He read the words and he emoted the words, and it was how it went was not his fault. So he needs a redemption arc. All right, Mario, I'm punting it back to you.
All right, look, technology has evolved quite a bit in the last few years. I think we're almost there. We're about we've seen de-aging, we've seen deep fakes, we've got a de-aged Indiana Jones on deck, I believe.
Yep.
We've gotten deep fake Luke Skywalker. Just go ahead and take the plunge. Just give us an original trilogy deep fake movie. Bring back all the characters, stage it in between Empire and Jedi, or right after Jedi possibly, and deep fake the entire characters and give us a new Star Wars movie.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, then after that, like all these actors are gonna lose their jobs in the future.
Well, they're all getting paid for their likeness, right?
For their face, yeah.
Wasn't there a controversy anyway when Rogue One came out when they brought back
Tarkin?
I drew a blank.
Tarkin,
yes.
Right? Yep.
And because wasn't there a whole debate about whether they were going to have him go for an Emmy or, if was he eligible for stuff like that? How do you compete with such a great deep fake at that point? So that's a great point.
The AI awards.
Yeah,
the AI awards, sure.
Yeah.
Started here.
Yeah,
this show.
I mean, it could at least be a category: best deep fake actor.
Best deep fake actor.
That's a good one, though, Mario. Not to take. I didn't mean to take away from your choice.
That's very
I just think folks would want to see that. The nostalgia play of all nostalgia plays. Just bring everybody back to their original form, how we remember them as kids, and just do a movie. I think it could work. They're pretty close. They're there.
Very close.
They're very close.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they've gone back even a couple times and taken a few more passes on deepfake Luke from that season 2 drop of just like each time you're watching, it's like, oh, that looks better than I remember it. Because that first one, it definitely had uncanny valley, They probably should have, like in hindsight, would they have gone with Sebastian Shaw and get a little bit more of a lookalike? I don't know, but
What is it about it that's like lacking? I feel like it's so close. I'm not a deep fake expert, but why is it that somehow it just looks slightly off?
you're right. I don't know. There's something about, and it's crazy because it's Mark Hamill is there. He's on set. It's not like not even somebody who's passed.
Yeah.
He's right there helping that character to mo. I don't know what's missing.
AJR's online. AJR just jumped in. Danny Trejo Rancor Keeper spinoff.
Oh man, I wish Chuckles was here. You know the Rancors, they're very emotional creatures.
They're very emotional creatures.
Good one, AJ.
Oh, that was great.
Yes,
Good
good,
one, AJ.
job, AJ.
I would be solid. Who knows what the Rancor Keepers are up to in like Mexico in that town?
Yeah.
They didn't bring back Antonio Banderas.
Right?
Why not? He needs work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Some
I
work.
need work.
I read something about once where he's like, I'm not getting any work. Something like that.
Just get it. I know, yeah, Mike brought up, so Disney owns the likeness of the characters, right? So any payment for news services rendered, like how Hamill had the day on the set and for deepfake, so he got paid. So somehow they still are, they are compensating the actors for the performances, or like in Carrie Fisher's case, like I'm sure it was her family or
Yeah, you're like licensing your likeness basically.
yeah.
Wow.
So it is very doable.
Licensing your soul.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean, look at TikTok. I mean, there's like, I think there's a deep fake Keanu Reeves account.
Man, yeah.
There's a good deep fake Kenobi that looks really good.
That's
You're
crazy.
like, wow.
I've seen the deep fake Tom
Yeah.
Cruises. Those are very convincing.
Oh man.
Yes. So
He
I
looks
don't know if
deepfake.
maybe it's just a licensing issue, because the technology's out there, but it's who wants to give up that, when you can make so much more money. I guess not necessarily licensing it, or
Maybe
losing out to Disney or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe like it also depends. I don't know. That's interesting because maybe they want a younger, like you 20 years ago, and they're like, "We'll pay you for that. We just want your face from 20 years ago." It's like probably hard to say no to that,
Yeah.
Cut the check.
Right? Yeah, just like just sign it.
But yeah, I mean, it's like JJ asked, they need to get their fully paid for their likeness rendered. They get some kind of fee because only you look like you.
Yeah.
You can't just if you put someone else in there, it's
Well,
like recasting it, right?
Yeah,
So
but
if you want someone,
what about if you have like a crazy doppelganger, someone who's like, well, but if you have another one of you out there and they see this film, they're like, wait a minute. But then again, they would already know, like, if someone
they
was
tried that in
famous
Back
and-
to the Future too, and it didn't really work. They had the Crispin Glover doppelgangers.
Oh yeah, when he
And
was
then
upside down and they just had the hair in his face.
That's what we'll do. We'll just turn the actor upside down. No one will notice. That's not really him. People be trying. Is that
Christopher
Glover?
That's so funny.
All right. I don't know if mine's gonna be a little controversial. Maybe. Well, it definitely would have been controversial back in the late '90s. So there was a book that came out that actually showed what happened. Remember the whole thing of like Jar Jar Binks needs to die. Like everybody wanted him to die on screen. And Lucas was like, no, this is not, I'm not killing this character. Just like he's the key to this all. I'm selling toys. No, I'm not going to do it.
Selling toys.
Yeah. And then obviously later on, we find out how the act Ahmed Best, like how he struggled and everything. What I want is I want to see a redemption arc IRL and in the movie for Jar Jar Binks. Like what happens when you realize that you just basically gave powers to the space Adolf Hitler? How do you live with yourself after that? Like I want to see his journey of how it goes.
Y'all heard this theory, right? That he is a Sith. That he's a Sith.
I was about to say
Have y'all
that.
heard
Yeah.
that? So
What?
Do the
There it is. You
Sith
got a
Jar
story
the
to
Sith
make.
Jar Jar story. I mean, you just do it as like a Star Wars what if kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How is that though? Like how would he be a Sith? Like how? Would
Well, they
that
say
work?
it started with the eyes.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
just a lot of the stuff that you saw, they were showing that he was manipulating things the entire time,
Yeah.
and he was just playing a clown.
And if you watch the original movies, like when they're like in all the battle scenes, he's just so clumsy that he's just helping the enemy in every scene.
Weird.
You know?
Yeah.
Whoops.
So weird. Yeah, and I do remember.
well, and in
that,
the
actually.
animated shows too. I mean, he does a lot to bring about
Really?
The fall of the Empire. A lot of those key votes.
And
the fall of the Republic.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I don't want him to be like, yeah, I've read that. I don't want him to be a Sith. I want to see Joaquin Phoenix play Jar Jar Binks, and you just basically get this Joker arc of just like, I know I've screwed things up and I've completely lost my mind. Because I know in the book, right, Amanda, he ends up being like a street clown, like performing for the kids.
Yeah.
Jar Jar does?
Jar Jar does. He's like a
Jar Jar
sad
does.
Oh,
hobo.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like he has a terrible ending, and
Oh.
they're all telling about the story of just like how everything fell, and he kind of
That
realized.
hurts.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
here-
what I mean.
I don't know why I feel it.
Yeah, so we need-
So I'm still more like just make him a Sith. We all know he is.
just leave it to-
Yeah.
But I need, like, would he get a redemption story, right? And the closest he got is when he died in Robot Chicken, and he became a sparkly little ghost, and he got to hang out with
right.
little Annie. I get to spend the rest of my time with you, little Annie. Look, I'm all sparkly, just like you.
Well, I mean, they did it for Boba too. I mean, they brought Boba back for a
Yeah,
little
so
bit.
bring
with
it back.
Red lightsaber and a green lightsaber, and you put them together, you get purple
You get
rain.
purple.
How huge would the pop be if Jar Jar just showed up on Mando?
I pop.
I mean, how long do the Gungans live? They live pretty long, right? He'd be around.
He would have to be around, right? There's got to be some kind of like longer life cycle for the non-humanoid species, right?
They seem like they would live a long
Yeah.
time down there in the water. All
I feel like he's more likely to show up on the Bad Batch.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, because he does show up, like you said. He has shown up animated, so he can do that. Do you remember when Lucas, though, he went back and Return of the Jedi, and he changed the Nub Nub song at the end, and he started adding all the different planets celebrating, and then there was that one planet, and
Yeah.
you just saw the Gungans like, we so free, and that was his way of giving everyone the fingers, like, I'm not killing them. I don't care what I don't care what you say. Like J.J. Abrams, like, should we put like Jar Jar's bones in like the desert to show that he died? Like, it's so dark, man. He's just a clown.
Here lies Jar Jar Binks. Just put a big tombstone in there.
make his story even more sad. You know?
I just want to see him dancing down the stairs like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, of just like, I just screwed the whole universe. Hey, done it. Hey.
And we get the memes with the the tall Joaquin Phoenix and the little mini one that's like
That's right. Oh, that was a good meme.
Those were good ones.
All right.
Both of you guys.
Mike, we got one more, right? Mario got one more.
Yeah.
We got one more. Let's hear it.
Look, we had such great success with Baby Yoda, and we even talked about a Baby Vader. Let's just do it. Let's go all in on baby Star Wars characters and do Star Wars babies.
Oh, like Muppet babies?
Like
But
Muppet
Star
babies,
Wars?
yeah. Star Wars babies. You have little Chewbacca, got baby Chewbacca, baby Vader. And this is before anyone's turned evil. They just they just hang out in the nursery. Obviously, it means Vader's still a heel. Vader's still a heel, but not that bad. Whatever. He's not force choking anybody yet. So
maybe he's beginning to do little things.
There's no force choke. Yeah, it was like a little hand movement.
He does the hand movement. Maybe he does the hand movements, but he's not strangling anyone.
You just
yet.
sold so many toys for Disney.
You got baby Chew. I mean, how cute is baby Chewbacca? Baby Han Solo. Baby Han Solo and Chewbacca. How about that?
I just keep
Like
seeing
Han-
them as little, but with big normal heads.
Like
it's weird.
Chewbacca has like really short hair, and Han Solo's probably like got shorts.
So many pockets.
Yeah.
So many pockets.
Oh, man.
That's great.
I have to try
want
so
Star
hard
Wars
not to laugh
babies.
too hard.
Star Wars babies.
Star Wars babies.
Book
Good.
tag Favreau in that one.
Yeah, we're definitely booking that. You just sold little toys.
You should make that film.
Yeah, make it.
I think we could do that with a small budget. We just need
just animate.
I mean, they brought out Baby Ahsoka, animated Baby Ahsoka
that's
for
right.
Tales of the
Ahsoka.
Jedi.
How great is that? Yeah, get baby Ahsoka
So
in
they're
there.
they are
And
tapping
then
into that.
the droids are babies too for some reason.
Baby droids.
Oh, Baby R2D2.
Baby R2D2.
So many toys.
Baby C3PO.
New toys. Yes. Like the new. It's like, oh, you already have R2D2? You want the baby version?
Get baby BB-8 in there.
So it's like-
You could put anybody in there.
Oh man.
so much money.
It could be a little confusing just for the baby. You actually have Yoda as a baby. Baby Yoda, Yoda baby? Or is it Yoda baby, baby Yoda?
Baby Yoda is himself. He's like the glue that holds it all together.
Yeah, I love it, dude. Just lean into the babies.
Why
into
not?
the
I love
babies.
it.
Bad baby, good baby, make money.
Baby Babu.
Oh my gosh. I'm here for it. Please make it happen. Disney, Star Wars people, make
It
it
just says
happen.
Baby Jabba the Hutt. Yeah.
Hey, we should like
Baby Jabba.
They did already. They did have a Baby Jabba.
They had Baby Jabba?
I think the
Oh, that's right.
there's a meme with baby. I think it's Baby Jabba, and there was someone else. But Baby Jabba was so cute.
Baby Max Rebo.
Oh, he gets a little keyboard.
He's got like a little keyboard, right?
Yeah, popping over here, working out.
So they all hang out at the baby cantina, right?
Yeah.
That's where they all, instead of like the nursery for Muppet,
Drinking blue milk.
just a baby cantina. Blue
No
milk
Baby
out of a
George
bottle.
allowed, though.
No droids.
Still no Baby George allowed.
Baby
Poor
George
Baby
allowed.
George.
Oh, that was good.
God.
All right, my last one. I'm gonna mark out a little bit, nerd out.
So funny.
There's been rumors of this, and I think they have an excuse to do this. I mean, I think you're familiar, guys. You might not be familiar with the whole world between worlds, which was the introduction of figuring out how to. That was introducing time travel and or multiverse into Star Wars. It hasn't been addressed anywhere except for Rebels. So what I want to do is just like book this as like a standalone. I don't know if you're going to be able to do it. You can make a movie. I'm trying to sell it to them. Get George Lucas's original pitch for 7, 8, and 9, and just have a version of the what if 7, 8, and 9, but use George Lucas's treatment. Don't undo again. I don't hate on the sequel trilogy characters. I'm cool with keeping them, keep that story arc alive. But now we have the what if, because I want to see literally what if they would have used George Lucas's original story for 7, 8, and 9. What would that have looked like compared to what we got? And I feel like that could be something doable. It's like, hey, George, you might not be able to do it in 3 movies, but give us like 3 hours, 1 hour each, condensed version of what you wanted it to be. We'll just call it What If Star Wars, with George Lucas as the writer and his story, and see what it looks like.
Maybe you could convince him if you were like, we'll have a little like, scan code on the merch, and you'll get these episodes of
Yeah.
this like, little thing. We'll sell some more merch, But that's a cool one. What if?
I like that one.
He's been on set, right? There's pictures of him holding, GroGu, right? That's literally like watching a grandfather with their grandbaby, like seeing them do that. So he is there.
Yeah.
Dave Filoni sat at the, he's the Padawan learner. I think he just like, George, you want to do it one more time? You can even make a BTS movie of just like Dave trying to convince George to come back for one more match, right? We're wrestling fans here, right? Just stand outside of his house. One more match.
It could have like a Rocky vibe,
Yeah.
but like kind of about cinema.
Yeah, there's treatments that
do
are
a little.
there's treatments.
Oh,
floating
do a
around.
little Undertaker.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Little Undertaker. The gong, just the gong.
Yeah,
And then there's-
and then he comes back out, right?
Man, that'd be epic. That would be epic.
Just do the "You still got it" chant, just. But
Love it.
yeah, I think that would be fun. I'd like to see what George did it. So that was good, man. How much money did we just make Disney? Just out of curiosity, between the 4 of us, how much money did we just make Disney?
You guys all made them money. I think like they were like, we already got that in the works for me.
Billions? We're talking billions or trillions?
I don't even know. They don't operate in those
Yeah, that's too small, right?
numerical values.
I was about to say, are we counting inflation?
It's like jewels. They just trade in jewels.
Jewels.
Oh yeah, good stuff. So just real quick, for my sake, for shorts, let's just each one of us read the 3 we did, so I can condense these into a nice, tidy short. So
Okay.
Amanda, you go first. What were your 3?
My 3 were of course, StarKiller TV show, a Darth Revan, Darth Malik, Mandalorian Wars, Jedi Civil War movie, and Mara Jade showing up somewhere, somehow, in a cameo.
Perfect.
Epic.
All right, Jess, your
Me?
3 Star Wars fantasy booking.
Yes, a Darth Vader like show or maybe a film. and Darth Maul, one about him, and the little characters we were talking about earlier.
And zillions.
Yeah, those little guys. A little series or maybe a day in the life of him. But I like where Mario took it.
I feel like they should run like a pizza shop.
Yeah, something
Right?
like that. Yeah. No, I like Mario's where he's like
White aprons.
It's like a sitcom of them
Yeah.
in their little shop, and I like that. What you guys?
Yeah, as long as they have
added
all the
to that.
sitcom like the woo.
Ooh, hubba,
There it is.
Yes.
All right, Mario, your 3 Star Wars fantasy booking.
Death Star Contractors.
Yes.
By Kevin Smith. Original trilogy, deep fake, sequel, or something, interim film. And Star Wars Babies.
Star Wars Babies. Oh, man. Now I got the Muppet Babies song stuck in my head. That's good. Yeah, and I went with Darth Plagueis the Wise, Jar Jar as the Joker, Redemption Tale, and What If George Lucas made episode 7, 8, and 9. Billions and billions of dollars
Billions.
right here.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to tag the House of Mouse on this. All right, Amanda, let's do a go home spot. Let's book these guys on pitching them why they should watch The Bad Batch, particularly even this last episode. You want to take a first crack at it?
Oh man, so Bad Batch. Bad Batch really fills in the gap, the bridge between, Order 66 and I think going into kind of the more modern, kind of the beginnings, if you will, of the Empire. And just it explains so much. The transition from the clones, like what happened to the clones, right? I mean, you had this whole clone army, and then now you're having all these conscripted stormtroopers. So, and just it's so good, filling in all those little pieces. It just connects the story beautifully. You have these misfit clones that you can get behind, and that they're all compelling. D. Bradley Baker, national treasure,
yes.
with all the clone voices he does, and I mean the cameos that you get to. I mean, just I always pop when I see Rex come out, or I had Cad Bane and Finnick. I mean, it's one of those that it does start a little slow because you're getting used to the characters, and you have the introduction in the Clone Wars to them. But man, especially this new season, people are sleeping on it.
Yeah.
Sleeping on it. And I'm here like, you guys, this is setting up so much right now.
Wow.
that it's so good.
That was a good sell.
Yeah.
Because
It's
now I have to watch it.
you're, every time you leave here, where you just get like so much homework.
Yeah, I really do.
So much homework.
I
that you
watched
gotta do.
RR&R though from last time.
Oh,
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
loved
right.
it.
That was good.
So good.
That was really, people were sleeping on that too.
Seriously,
People
I've been telling people
too.
that. Mm-hmm.
That's
So good.
Ripped off at the Oscars. Why they're not? They're going to perform.
Unbelievable.
They're going to perform the song
Unbelievable.
though live, which is cool.
Oh.
So they are going to be here, and I think they should just charge the stage and take what's theirs.
With
Yeah,
a
exactly.
truck full of
Show them-
tigers.
show them
Truck
like,
full of tigers.
yeah. It's like, oh, we didn't win it, or we're not here for it, but we'll perform it live for you, almost like in their face, like we can do this now.
Brendan Fraser's getting his statue, and it's a truck full of tigers to rush the stage. Give this to NTR. He deserves it.
Oh, it's going to be so good.
Yes.
So me pitching Bad Batch, the whole thing is these are specific clones, right? You have all the clones, but these clones their DNA was doctored a little bit to have a little bit more of like a superpower, like Hunter, Wrecker. They all have a specific superpower that they kind of lean into.
Mm-hmm.
So you have super clones, basically. You have what amounts to Boba Fett's little sister, right?
Yeah.
Omega.
Yeah.
Boba Fett was the first clone, the Alpha, and she was the Omega. She was the final clone. But they're kind of leaning into like something's going to be special about her, and I think she has potential to break out and be what Ahsoka was in the beginning. Ahsoka at first wasn't fully accepted, and she grew into such a spectacular character. Like her arc of just like, oh, this is just some little girl, that they threw in to try to win the kids over, and she calls Anakin Sky Guy, and he calls her Snips, and they had the cool nickname, and now she's like driving her own series.
Damn.
That's what
She's the most complete complete Star Wars character.
Yeah, we've seen her we've
my
been
opinion.
with her since she was little. Now, as a baby, right? We've seen her entire journey. That's pretty impressive, and I think that you have that potential with Omega in here for sure. Like there's going to be something special about her. And Mario, to pitch you, well, I know for some of your retro, you got Rhea Perlman voicing one of the characters in there. Just like,
she's
whoa.
great.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this, like, what would you compare this last episode that just they had to have a strong episode, and they're like, okay, we're going to try to show how we're going to repair the sequel trilogy, but we're going to give you Ridley Scott's Aliens, and then it's going to metamorphosis into a kaiju movie.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. And then it hits you in the feels too, because it goes back to, if you're a Star Wars geek, the Clone Wars,
right,
as well. So one of the most heartbreaking moments and foreshadowing moments in the Clone Wars.
Yeah. There's a lot of emotion because the whole thing, right? You always just in real life, right? The manipulation that happened, you don't. A lot of times when you're out of this, you don't ever get to see the aftermath of some type of manipulation. And right, the whole Star Wars series was, about manipulation on the back end. And now you're starting to see the ramifications of what happened to these characters because of certain manipulations. And that just tugs at your heartstrings. And that's what, that's why Anakin, 4, 5, and 6, they're like, oh, he was the space Hitler. And it's just like, and then you go back and watch 1, 2, and 3. It's like, no, this little boy, got ripped away from his mom and then was just manipulated and then lost his father figure and was thrown all over the place and was just like, didn't know where to belong, and then just got manipulated and taken advantage of. And then you got to see that.
It's like a very spiritual story.
It's so spiritual.
Just like about how the world can take you and steer you in really dark places. And it's like, you have to really dig deep within yourself spiritually to guide yourself to a more positive light place. I just love the whole. It's deep. But is the Bad Batch crew? Are they 5 or 7, or is it how many?
There's
are there?
There's 5, right?
5.
So you got
Yes.
Wrecker, Hunter, Tech,
Echo,
right, and then Crosshair, which they're kind of
Crosshair.
he was part of their crew, but he kind of he went in his own direction. So you have a little bit of family drama there too, of just they see all of them, they see each other as brothers, but this crew specifically, they see all the clones as their brothers. So it's a little bit of family drama in there too. And then Omega, they kind of have one of them is like a father figure to her. The others is she's a little sister, and they kind of taking care of her, but she's starting to wanting to turn into a warrior because all the clones were bred for war. That's what they want, and that's where they're going to. But there's something different about her. So yeah, they're definitely, there's a family dynamic between the clones, and that's the best part of this. Of like Amanda said, what happened to the clones? Now you see what happens when times get tough. Does your family turn on you, or does your family stick together? And you get a lot of that with the Clone War, with the Bad Batch.
I'm definitely going to watch it.
Yes. More homework.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Sold on it.
Did that help, Mario? I thought we'd get you with the Ridley Scott Aliens. Just even if it's just that episode.
I'm gonna check it out.
Just that episode.
Can I borrow your password again?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it logged in.
Okay.
That sounds awesome. Actually,
right.
I'm a little hyped on that now. I'm kind of excited to see that. So
you can do some YouTube digging too, and that'll help. YouTube will be your guide. I don't know how we did anything before YouTube.
I know, right?
Right?
How did we do?
You probably have to rewatch a million times and maybe take notes or something. And maybe figure it out. Old school pen and paper, what just happened.
The other day I was thinking about that song lyrics. Remember listening to songs and just listening really hard over and over to try and figure out the lyrics?
Oh yeah, and then try to write them down.
Yeah, try to write them down as opposed to just Googling it and having the lyrics immediately.
And then you actually Google the lyrics now and you realize you've sung something wrong for 20 years.
Yeah.
And my soul is crushed.
Yeah. I think, although, were you singing it wrong, or was that a Mandela effect? And then we just did a universe hop. Or maybe
I like your explanation.
That way you can say, no, I was never wrong. It was just
things changed.
Yeah.
they just transcribed it wrong. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Are we good? Did we have a Star Wars? Amanda, thank you so much for jumping in here and Star Wars geeking out with us. That was a good time.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah.
So
we'll give you the
this is
opportunity now
awesome.
to do some picture stuff, where you're going, what you're doing, and then for your podcast as well.
Yeah, so my next Comic-Con is going to be in June with Fan Expo. So I'm going to definitely do like my Clone Wars cosplay, like I mentioned earlier. Of course, my big thing on my plate is our podcast, which is available on all streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple, Google, Anchor. We are the Socially Distanced Podcast. Myself, our host, Bill Botkin, my other co-host, Al Manarino, and Socially Distanced started with those two crazy guys. They needed something to do during quarantine, and then I started off as their resident guest for Star Wars. I actually started with Cowboy Bebop, and then they brought me on for Star Wars. And then I transitioned into co-hosting. So our new episodes come out every Friday. And so right now we are reviewing The Last of Us, but then now we're also doing Mando. So it's a Pedro Pascal love fest all year round.
Sounds awesome.
Pedro deserves all the love. All the love, all the flowers. Give it to that 20-year overnight sensation.
Just get it out of nowhere.
And Jesse, thank you for coming in here too. And
Thanks, Jesse.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Mario officially named the set that you're on. That's the volume. So
That's the volume. Yeah.
We always have a piece of Star Wars here with us. You're sitting in the volume. How does it feel?
It feels great.
Do you see any leftover Tatooine stuff in there that we can make a quick series with?
Tag Robert Rodriguez in this one.
No, we're gonna tag Danny.
Danny Rodriguez?
Yeah. Cool. So, Amanda, we were debating this, so we're gonna let you have the final word before we go to our bumper. Is it gonna be "I have spoken, this is the way," or "May the Force be with"? Don't tell us, just say it, and we're gonna fade out.
All right, we're at the end of the music.
Yes.
I have spoken.
See you later.
Eh?